football, the legendary coach who made Ronaldo unstoppable and dominated world football. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 181. Demi once again gained the favor of a wave of straight male fans, who did not expect that it was actually to see Liu Yi. People's vacation is to run abroad, Liu Guide is to return to China for vacation, wonderful. Indeed, before Liu's guidance said that he was on vacation, everyone thought about what the Aegean Sea, what the Caribbean, the Spanish Sunshine Coast and so on, who could think of Liu Guide running to rendezvous for a vacation. Laughed to death, the Longdu people ran out on vacation, and Liu Guidance came to a reverse operation. It should be the Christmas holiday to return home, by the way to see friends. Liu Han and Guan Xiaotong, Wang Xiaolei and others also sent out group photos, saying that they had the honor to have dinner with director Liu and discuss the future of Longhua football. Yang Tianbao is even more jealous at Liu Han, bye, Guan Xiaotong 3, you can entertain Liu Guide. Liu Yi's fans have also bubbled up, especially Manchester United fans, who are full of surprises. Judging from the remarks of Zhang Jun and others, it is estimated that Liu Yi still has a little idea about Longhua football, maybe when everyone can see his operation on the dinner board. Liu Yi and Liu Han discussed some things about donating the stadium, and discussed some domestic players with Wang Xiaolei. And also agreed to participate in a session with Yi Wei, the world's best football program Huanbao Football. Liu Yi, who had finally drunk a pound of liquor, looked at teacher Zhang Jun, who was sitting next to him, and said with a serious face, "Brother Zhang Jun, look at your face, the next time I meet Liverpool, I will start lightly. Then I will thank you, but you, a northerner, are not as good as me in drinking, this is not okay." Zhang Jun raised his wine glass and did it first as a tribute. Liu Yi did not contain who, he was a little dizzy, but he could still hold on. The last 5 men present drank a total of 6 bottles of liquor, considering that Wang Xiaolei drank a cup, the remaining 4 people, almost all of them were 1.5 pounds, which was already very powerful. There was no doubt that everyone had been taken away, and Liu Yi had no relatives in Longdu. "Sister Bai, if you send brother Yi away, I don't think he can go back." Dabi Bai reluctantly agreed, sent Liu Yi back to the hotel, and even sent a blog to show his bright and upright appearance. But it really discouraged the paparazzi and fans. After all, in everyone's impression, these two people have no handover at all. Besides, the first time we met, we did something that shouldn't be done. Is it too much to give? Sometimes things are true, and when you put them out, people think you're joking. On the 3rd day, Boziting's men appeared and sent scripts to Dababi and Liu Yi in the hotel, asking them to cultivate their feelings. The plot is also simple and straightforward, which probably means that in the cold winter and the snowy night, Liu Yi, as a boyfriend, bought a gift for Demi and stood on the side of the road waiting for his girlfriend to appear. While looking around, I was still because of the cold, stomping my feet, constantly gasping and so on. Then, as a girlfriend, Demi, with a newly purchased Boziting down jacket, ran quickly to her boyfriend, her face full of pigs, was happy. The two hugged each other, looked at each other for a while, and then put on the Boziting down jacket that must be sent, and then it was not cold. Then Liu Yi also gave his own gift, which turned out to be a couple's Boziting down jacket, and the two were naturally full of love. Wearing a Boziting down jacket, they ran around in the snow and had a snowball fight, then hugged each other and fell on the snow and rolled a few laps. The narrator appears at this time. Boziting warms himself and also warms his lover. The plot is nothing, the lines are simple to make people call directly, the domestic plot, but there are still requirements for the performance. Director Liu, you may not know much about acting, or should we rehearse for 2 days? Liu Yi is indeed the first time in his life, or obey the director's arrangement, and Dababi rehearsed several times, and Dababi did not object. The location of the shooting, of course, is not in Rendezvous, but in the ice city where there is more snow. Without booting, the two rolled around on the ground, had a lot of fun, familiarized themselves with the whole routine, and spent a whole night. The director even praised the two. The couple you two play is really alike, but you can still see that the guidance is a little unnatural. Under the lens, Liu Yi's performance is also good. He is a professional head coach, naturally will not hide from the camera. It's just that there are some scenes where he plays very well in private, but there is always something unnatural in the camera, such as the picture of the two kissing deeply. Director Liu, you are all right, but this point cannot be let go. After his own efforts, Liu Yi felt unable to overcome and had to show the big killer, the acting card that was rewarded before. Director, I'll go back at night and figure it out, how about we shoot tomorrow? The director does not have any opinion. Under normal circumstances, the star's schedule cannot afford to delay. Since Liu Yi took the initiative to put forward, Dobby Me also has no opinion, then tomorrow is good. In the evening, Liu Yi logged into the game and clicked to use the acting card. Then say hello to the big must come and work together on the script. The next day, Liu Yi's acting skills shocked the entire crew, although it was not too difficult to perform, but his acting skills have far exceeded the small actions between the ordinary young actors and two ordinary young couples, the kind of love that cannot be hidden between them, and for the future children's scene. It is necessary to come to Dobby by this kind of professional actor has been suppressed. In the end, she was forced to make her acting skills for so many years barely pass. In just 2 hours, all the shooting content was done, and even the narration was said by Liu Yi and Dobby, and there was no need to add money. In the words of Dabby, this is a film with only the two of them, a small world. Brother Liu Yi, if you don't want to be a coach at any time, come to the show business to develop, your acting skills can take the movie emperor. Dobby must say this, absolutely sincerely, as a person who plays with Liu Yi, she feels very intuitively. Sister Bai is right, Liu directs this acting skill to become a coach, it is really a loss for the show business circle. The director also came over and praised Liu Yi. Others such as cameramen, lighting engineers and others, as well as several fans, came to Liu Yi to speak. Director Liu, the last time I was in a crew, those big-name actors were far worse than you, and you just made me think that this performance was real, and even saw some of my shadows back then. Director Liu, when I first fell in love, I saw the girl I liked, just like your performance, and that feeling simply made me feel that it was where I should be occupied. Liu Yi naturally accepted everyone's pursuit, but after everyone finished speaking, he was still modest. You may not know that football coaches also need acting skills, we need to perform every day. Many of the staff were dazed, only a few senior fans seemed to think of some people, quite a sense of enlightenment. The mobile phone rang suddenly, looked at the name on it, it turned out to be Santa Cuco from England. Calculate the time and now Britain has entered the evening. What is it that makes Santa Cuco give up her rest time and make long-distance phone calls to herself? Episode 182. Sandezi's tone, there was some excitement in his trepidation, and his speech was very urgent. If it were not for Liu Yi's English level being enough, his accent would definitely not be understood. Liu, Paris has given Pogba an official offer. This is a good thing, and it is also a good thing, it was supposed to be lost for free, and it was necessary to provide half a year's salary, and now it can recover part of the cost. Paris Saint-Germain is a great benevolent man. How much is it? Liu Yi's voice was even a little nervous, after all, it was not easy to see this kind of thing once in his life. 10 million euros. This little money is indeed a sprinkler for Paris, and it is completely understandable that the winter window will take away Pogba for reinforcement. Did you say yes? Definitely not, talk to you and make a decision, this is my current standard of work. That's good, let's ask for a price first, see if we can ask for more, anyway, the initiative is in our hands, it's not a big deal about this little money, we don't want it. Well, I think the same thing, no matter what the outcome, this tone is unbearable. The two quickly agreed that since Paris could make an offer, they could negotiate the price, a little more, after all, Manchester United invested too much in Pogba. Many of the people present can understand some English, but when it comes to professional vocabulary, it is another matter. However, seeing Liu Yi was very happy, naturally congratulated. Director Liu is so happy, what good is it? Deal with a little trouble, wait a few days everyone will know, not a big deal. Liu Yi waved his hand and did not continue to discuss the issue. The work was completed, it was already more than 2 o'clock in the morning, fortunately, for Langua, it was not difficult to find a 24-hour shop, Liu Yi waved a big hand, please go to dinner. A big barbecue in the ice city, a little bit of cold beer, room temperature is really unbearable. It is natural to take a group photo to satisfy everyone's star-chasing psychology. The next day, Liu Yi and Dobby would return to Longdu, say goodbye, and agreed that when Liu Yi left, they would have a meal together. Liu Yi and Demi filming advertising tidbits have also been exposed in advance, and there are some stills on the scene. Dabby even sent Liu Yi's 9 Palace grid photo. Liu Guidance has no makeup, the beauty of the face, the camera shot directly, for everyone to see. The female fans of Yen Dog, who had no interest in football, were shocked. Sleeper, is this really not even makeup? Unbelievable, this temperament of Liu Yi's Guidance makes people feel like a hero from ancient times, and it is really manly. With this face, it is not a waste to play football, you should come to the show business circle to let everyone add screens. The upstairs is simply narrow. Liu coaches how many fans around the world, Manchester United female fans around the world, want to give him monkeys. Liu Yi inexplicably rose several million female fans, and the normal fans had opinions. Fortunately, Liu Yi will not push this kind of thing, and he himself will not send his own photos to fans as a benefit on social accounts. From the high-speed rail of Longdu Longcheng, he logged into his Weibo, and by the way, he at Zhao Lingyue, this is my Longhua agent, what commercial cooperation will be directly to him in the future. Then put this fence at the top and make sure everyone who pays attention to him can see it. The ghost knows how many enterprises, how many people want to cooperate with Liu Yi. There has always been no channel, and now it is finally coming, one by one moving tiers. Zhao Lingyue of Longdu rented a good office, renovated it well, and has officially moved in. On the wall hangs a photo of him and Liu Yi, as well as various photos of Liu Yi on the court. The company's name is Dragon Wing Football Culture Communication Company, Limited. The main business content is football brokerage, youth training and football culture promotion, stadium construction and mouth management. Anyway, apply as much as possible, and then you can use it, and Zhao Lingyue is professional in this regard. The registered capital is 10 million renminbi, which has been fully received. Just interacted with the boss on the Weibo, comfortably let the secretary give himself a cup of tea, lay down on the wide chair, drank tea, happiness. The sudden ringing of the mobile phone, as well as the prompt tone of adding friends on WeChat, startled him. Hey, this is Dragon Wing Soccer, I'm Mai Chang. Mr. Zhao, I am the vice president of Weibo, and I hope to talk to you about Liu guiding the opening of social accounts. The tone of the opposite side was very polite, which made Zhao Lingyue feel very comfortable. However, the content of the discussion made Zhao Lingyue feel very uncomfortable, which probably means that Liu Yi can only open an account on the Weibo, prohibit the opening of other competitive platforms, and publish content. If you agree, Weibo will give Liu Yi a fee of 20 million yuan per year. Zhao Lingyue naturally could not refuse on behalf of the boss, but said that it would be conveyed, but relying on his understanding of Liu Yi, this kind of contract with mandatory will most likely be rejected. This side just hung up the phone of Weibo. The next phone call came in. It just happened to be the high-level Longhua time of the daily headlines of the opposite head of the Wei dynasty, more than 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Liu Yi's high-speed rail was about to reach Longcheng South Station. All of United's official social media posts the same thing. Pogba is no longer on United's future roster. Now all teams can quote and take away this world-class midfielder. There are not many such good players on the market now. There are already club offers, but we are willing to give everyone who likes Paul and wants to get a chance at his club. Please cherish it. Cherish your sister, you are not waiting for other clubs to raise their offers. Liola was dying of rage, and it was his idea to ask Paris to offer 10 million to Manchester United, in order to solve Pogba's problem as soon as possible, thus proving his strength. Now that this is the case, it is obvious that 10 million people want to take Pogba away from the winter window, and it is no longer possible. In Newcastle, which is soon recruiting for troops, the official Twitter news post about Pogba, we also want to get a chance to communicate with Paul, and the offer will be sent after the direct delivery. Other clubs may say that they have no money, or the salary level is too high, but Newcastle is now holding £300 million in the winter window, afraid that the players do not love money. Anything that can be solved with money, that's not a thing. Watching Newcastle enter, Liola is very annoying, but for Paris, it is not a small hornworm, because the owner of Paris knows how rich the owner of Newcastle is. Pogba has to be won as soon as possible, and there will be a very clear improvement in the problem of the obvious weakness of the midfield in Paris now. Episode 183. Paris' second offer, which was soon delivered, showed their eagerness to take Pogba. All this made Santa Cuco inexplicable. Originally Manchester United completely lost a big face and suffered a big loss in Pogba. Unexpectedly, in the end, there was a turn of the peak, and there were other receivers, and it was a local tycoon like Paris. The most important thing is that this receiver seems to be very anxious, then he is not welcome. As for Newcastle, they said they were going to give Pogba an offer, but in fact they were just shouting, and their target was another French player. If we had cooperated with Manchester United in this matter, perhaps the negotiations on their real goals would have been easier. So Newcastle began, touting Pogba with great fanfare, saying that it was to build a real Premier League team with Pogba as the core. Pogba will be officially given an offer soon, hoping that Pogba can take a look at Newcastle. It's like not getting a goddess to lick the dog. It makes people feel a little sad, but for Manchester United, it's a very good thing. Liu Yi directly sent a message to Sandesi, telling him that he must be steady and not in a hurry. Bring a pair of sunglasses, slightly disguised, from the high-speed rail station to take a taxi home. The driver master is always able to talk. You know our Dragon City, what's the hottest thing lately? I haven't been back for a while, and I really don't know, but does Master want you to talk about it? Football, since our pride in Jinji Dragon City, Liu director became famous in Manchester United, football has become the hottest project in Dragon City, and the relevant parties say that they want to build 100 public football fields so that children can play football. This is a big move. But no, there is already a policy down, saying that it is to make football into a Dragon City, and even the business card of the entire Jinshao state. Master, what do you think? Let's take a step and look at it one step at a time, otherwise we are a coal digger here, and having a football is better than digging coal, but it is difficult to do it. Yes. Liu Yi also felt a heartfelt sigh. Until home, when Liu Yi paid to get off the bus, he took off the sunglasses on his face, and the driver master suddenly turned back and asked nervously, "Are you Liu Guide?" "It's me." Liu Yi smiled. He was not a person who was not a seething, and simply admitted it. "Director Liu, I am a real Manchester United old fan. I have liked Manchester United since the beginning of the broadcast of the Premier League in '98. You must sign me today. My son is also making a fuss every day to play football." The driver took out a notebook with a smile on his face, and even had a pen to carry with him. Good thing, better than playing with mobile phones. But no, he and a bunch of half-grown kids in the class are clamoring every day to play football for you when they grow up. What's your child's name? I wrote him a sentence. Liu Yiming. Liu Yi quickly wrote a sentence in the book, then took a photo with the master and walked towards the door of the community, not knowing whether his parents were at home or not. The key to the family was lost when he returned home, and he could only follow the crowd to blend in, but several grandmothers looked at him a few times and thought that this young man was a good offspring. Not surprisingly, there was no one in the family, so I could only call my mother, and I was thinking of giving them a surprise. Zhang Xiaomei was chatting at the old sister's house, worried about her son starting a family, but she did not rush to give her son an introduction object. After all, her son is now out of work, and he certainly can't look at it with a price Xiao. What are you worried about? Maybe in the new year, Xiao Yi will bring you a foreign daughter-in-law back. That's not okay, we can't even say a word to the foreign daughter-in-law, and we haven't let the girl be wronged. Zhang Xiaomei shook her head, and she was really worried that if her son brought a foreign daughter-in-law back, he would not still have to learn a foreign language. The son's phone call made Zhang Xiaomei leave a group of sisters and go straight home. Liu Jianzhong, who was fishing with the old guys in the suburbs, was also called back by a phone call, and quickly went to the vegetable market to buy a big fish and prepare to go home to entertain his son. Xiao Yi, look at this fish that Dad dropped, it is 4 or 5 pounds, just so that your mother estimates the sauerkraut fish. Liu Jianzhong began to show off as soon as he entered the door. After all, the angler never has an air force. Zhang Xiaomei rolled her eyes, did not reveal her husband's disguise. Just now she also received the wet market she often visited, selling fish boss lady WeChat, saying that her husband went to buy fish. There is a video with the truth. Because he stayed in Longdu for a few days and went to Ice City for 2 days, Liu Yimin spent a lot of time with his parents, that is, 3 days. Take advantage of these days, bought a good house for parents, all aspects are more mature, relatively close to here, the most important thing is to move in with bags, no need to have any trouble. He left 5 million for his mother and asked her and her father to do something as they pleased, so as not to get too bored every day. His father has relied on his driver's license for decades, and has always driven someone else's car, and Louis has also bought him a Longqi H9 by the way, which is enough for him to go out fishing. In a short period of time, Paris Saint-Germain's offer to Pogba has reached £40 million. Sandesi couldn't help but want to agree to it several times, but was stopped by Liu Yi. In the game system, it is clear that the highest in Paris should be £60 million, which is the same as Pogba's current value. The most important thing is that with this £60 million, it is easier for Liu Yi to reinforce, and he does not have to quarrel with the Grise family. When leaving, the parents were naturally reluctant to give up. Liu Jinzhong personally drove his son to the station, and Zhang Xiaomei on the train gave a lot of advice. You are out alone, don't spend money if you have money. If you are looking for a girlfriend, try to find one from our country. Your father and I are older, and we can't learn foreign language as well, so we can't communicate at home, so don't wrong other people's children. Liu Yi first quietly went to Modu and Young Tianbao to have a meal, and then went straight to Longdu the next day to participate in the recording of the Huanyu football program that he had promised before. Dababy has been staying in Longdu recently, so it is inevitable that they will have a meal together and then take a walk. On the penultimate day of the Christmas holiday, Santa Kuko's phone called, completely disregarding that it was already 12 o'clock midnight in Rikoku. The voice trembled a little. Dear Liu, the offer in Paris has reached £60 million. Do we still have to insist? Hold on to a fart, agree as soon as possible, sign the contract, and then beat Pogba unconscious and send him to Paris. Well, I'll get it right away, but it depends on Pogba's personal contract, and if he doesn't agree, I don't think we can do it. Pogba won't agree, but Liola has a way to get him to agree, and our priority is to hurry up and agree to Paris's offer. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Liu Yi jumped up directly and waved a few fists, showing great excitement. Go to sleep, you have to record the show tomorrow, and you only have one day, it's very stressful. On one side came the sound of Dababy, drowsy, hazy. Episode 184. The program recording was very smooth. In order to make the program more effective, the planners of Huanyu Football also invited a pivotal figure in the history of Dragon Football. Fan de General Fan Ji. This unruly, short-tempered former football superstar of the Dragon Kingdom, when facing Liu Yi, is very low-key and humble. It proves one thing, on the football field, after all, it is still the strength that has the final say. In particular, Liu Yi also showed his footwork in the show, no less than professional football players, and even according to Fan Ji, Liu directs this kicking skill. According to the standards I was in the championship that year, you can play the starter. I have to say that Fan Ji's vision of watching the ball is still very good. From such a small period of exercise, I can judge Liu Yi's approximate level, something awe. After the recording of the program, all the staff and Liu Yi and Fan Yi ate together, and Fan Ji always had a feeling of wanting to talk and stop during the meal. But maybe others are because of other things, so Liu Yi didn't ask much. It wasn't until Liu Yi separated from everyone and was ready to go back to the hotel that Fan Ji opened his face and wrapped up with him. Coach Liu, wait a minute. Fan Jiga, what's the matter? Liu Yi was really curious, and he was ready to say something to himself. After coughing a few times, Fan Ji looked around and lowered his head slightly. Liu instructed me if I could follow you to study for a while. Liu Yi was stunned, and then looked at Fan Ji a few times. Fan Jiga, you want to be a coach? Not thinking, but already being a coach, it has been more than 10 years, but the level has not been enough. Before I wanted to go out there was no way, now I can't help but have some thoughts after seeing you. Speaking of this, Fan Ji looked at Liu Yi, and then continued, of course, I know that there are many rules of foreign clubs. If you are convenient, you can send an exchange official letter, I can study with you for a period of time, you can give money. If it is inconvenient, we have the opportunity to cooperate again. This is also frankly said, Fan Ji's personality is like this, what to say. Because before the Dragon Kingdom, there were many similar examples, and the beautiful name of Sunrise Exchange and Learning Abroad is actually to spend money to go around and make your resume look better. Of course, he is not for his resume, but really wants to learn something, these years of Dragon Football more and more crotch, so that these people are anxious. Brother Fan Jiga, what do you mean in English? I used to say when I played at Crystal Palace, but I still have some. Fan Yi honestly confessed, after all, there is not much domestic English environment, and he does not dare to say whether he can still communicate. Well, you settle things in the house first, then come to Manchester to find me, and then we'll talk in detail and see how to settle you better. You said yes? Fan Jiwan did not expect that Liu Yi promised to be so happy and couldn't help but ask a question. After getting Liu Yi's affirmative reply, he was a little worried that the Personnel Arrangement Club was not giving Liu Yi this right, and don't let him be embarrassed. Rest assured, don't say it's arranging a staff member, I just want to arrange a player, and there is no problem, small things. Fan Ji, who was standing in the same place, watched Liu Yi's car go away, and his eyes were shining. When he was young, he stayed in foreign countries as a player, and his performance was quite good, and now he has reached the age of 50 years old, and he wants to stay in foreign countries as a coach to learn advanced skills and tactics abroad, and even the youth training system. Having enjoyed the dividends of Dragon Football, now in the trough, he decided to step up and do something. Far away in Manchester, Santoku simply agreed to the offer of Paris Saint-Germain that £60 million could take Pogba away in the winter transfer window. That is, the day that soon after, the Premier League winter window began at this time. Leonardo of Paris was also relieved that since Santacuco had promised him, it meant that Newcastle had not paid the price. Then just let Raiola go and level Pogba and things get back on track. Raiola had just woken up from a nap, and lately his sleep quality had been very poor, and he had to sleep for a long time every day to not be so tired. After being woken up by the ringtone of the mobile phone, the mood is naturally very unpleasant, but after seeing Leonardo's name, he immediately adjusted his mood. This is his own big money, Pogba's only way out, can't afford to offend. Leon, is there any good news? I've leveled Manchester United here, the next thing you have to do is get Pogba, I don't want anything out of it. Leonardo's tone is obviously a little unkind, think of the players who could have been brought in for free, and finally spent a lot of money on tossing, and no one will be happy. Raiola let out a long sigh of relief. Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester United finished talking, then the rest of the matter is much easier to solve. It seems that he is an employee of Pogba, but in fact, in this relationship until now, Pogba is just a pawn to make money. A chess piece still wants to rebel, I really don't know if I live or die. After hanging up Leonardo's phone, Raiola took a cup of coffee, sobered herself up, and began to think about how to get Pogba. Pogba has returned to Paris and he will never go to Manchester United's youth team anyway. Even seeing the Manchester United logo made him angry, and if he had the opportunity, he must make Manchester United, for contempt, not tolerant enough, unable to provide all support for themselves and pay the price. To be honest, the whole of Manchester United knew that Pogba would probably resent everyone, but they did not expect these reasons. Newcastle United, after receiving an offer from Manchester United in Paris, the Magpie quickly quieted down and stopped talking about the slightest bit about Pogba. After contacting Santacuco, they placed an offer for Martial in front of Sandesi. A loan plus next season to buy out the contract, it can be seen that it is also full of sincerity, there is no intention to mess with people, after all, Newcastle is not short of this money, and does not want to fight with Manchester United. After Liu Yi returned to the club, the first thing he encountered was this, and Sandesi was a little hesitant to sell Anthony Martial. The player personally talked to me, before letting him play was to give potential buyers a chance to show the goods, our team is now overcrowded in front, it is also possible to change some transfer funds back. With Liu Yi's approval, Sandesi arranged for someone to start contract negotiations with Newcastle, proposing some specific conditions. And Raiola over there finally figured out how to communicate with Pogba. After all, the contract that Leonardo gave him and what he promised Pogba before is a bit far off. Episode 185. What, £300,000? And to ensure at least 80% of the appearance rate every year? The appearance rate is not enough, and you can't get 300,000? If Pogba had watched the Dragon Kingdoms movie, he would have scolded, isn't it so special to kneel down and ask for food? Raiola would probably say, yes, you are now on the road to see the food. Paris gave Pogba a copy, which looked good, but in fact there were many requirements, and there were many small details of the contract. For example, if you enter the competition list 90% every year, you can get a salary of £350,000. But Pogba has averaged just 39 appearances at Manchester United in recent years, barely able to make up 2/3 of a season, and there are too many injuries. Paul, this is already the best condition we can get. Raiola persuaded Pogba with a heavy heart, and his commission was 10 million less, but there were still 30 million euros, which must be taken down. Pogba still had one last straw and asked, Newcastle, as long as there is a suitable offer, Newcastle, I am willing to go. He knew that this was the last big contract in his life, and whether he could make enough money to let himself have the second half of his life depends on this contract. So he doesn't care about any dignity and team honor, give more money and he goes. Raiola couldn't help but laugh out and then shook her head, before saying to the phone, don't think about Newcastle, Newcastle has never contacted me from beginning to end, and even I haven't found anyone in person, they are just rubbing heat. Hearing this, Pogba's heart was instantly as cold as ice, how could this be? A genius like himself, the core midfielder of the World Cup, the spiritual leader of the French team, the heir to Zidane, a super player who can burst and wash dirty balls, who can shoot from a distance, why does no one want it? How did it get to such a point that there was only such an extremely demanding contract in the transfer market? For a time, Pogba had a hard time accepting such a fact. Raiola did not urge, this time the urge will have the opposite effect, he just told Pogba, Paul, you think about it, if you refuse this contract, I will also help you go to other teams to fight, but what the result is, I can only say that I try my best." In Pogba's mind, Liola was a brilliant person who could do anything. A super club like Manchester United is played between applause by them, and even what he has come up with to introduce Manchester City, saying that he wants to go to Real Madrid and so on, these things, there are a large number of fans to defend him. Speaking of how awesome he is, Manchester United don't deserve Pogba right now, so they should kneel and lick and wait. Slowly, Pogba himself believed it to be true. "I should be the only one of the existence, £500,000 weekly salary must be won, £400,000 of renewal contract, that is not to see, directly refused. How I hope that the contract of £400,000, and there is no harsh demand, can be put in front of me again." Unfortunately, everything can't go back. Since Liu Yi took office, the bastard absolutely can't survive at Manchester United. Some irritated people pick up their mobile phones and prepare to find someone to talk to, or do something to pass the time. Manchester United, who has not yet had time to take the pass, recently released a message: Manchester United are out for Newcastle. The following is also accompanied by a group photo of Liu Yi and the players. If it is not for Liu Yi's arrival, he should still be in the middle of the team, at least follow to the away to watch the game, it is completely okay. Blame this damn dragon man. On the bus north to Newcastle, Liu Yi couldn't help but sneeze and muttered in his heart, "Who is cursing yourself?" The bus is very quiet, everyone is wearing headphones to close their eyes, or listen to music, watch the drama or something. Newcastle are now in second to last place, and if they can't be reinforced in the winter window, a few draws of relegation is a matter of the board. This is completely unacceptable for the oil guys who have just bought Newcastle, and the most important thing is that they are really rich. Winter window has taken out £300 million, ready to buy a lot of oil and raise a strong Newcastle with oil. For the middle and upper teams, some players who do not have enough opportunities in the team and the competitive pressure are too much to choose Newcastle. For example, on Manchester United's bus, Anthony Martial, who is listening to music with his eyes closed, is their goal. Fame is big enough, the strength is good, there have been highlight moments, or the former Golden Boy player, there is no doubt that it has helped to boost Newcastle's reputation. In this game, Liu Yi is also ready to give Martial the opportunity to play, but also to Newcastle inspection. The two sides have actually entered the negotiation stage, but Newcastle wants to directly smash the transfer fee and put Anthony Martial in his own pocket. What Manchester United means is that you try it out on loan for half a year and then say, "If it doesn't work, we won't pit you." Newcastle said that this little money does not matter, "We believe that your Manchester United production, and then the pit is a pit, it will not affect our future feelings." This kind of negotiation method will not be able to put the three Takuko together. How come there have been so many things recently about sending money on the pole? Liu Yi turned his head to look at Martial, and there was always a sense of mood in the system that he felt that the atmosphere was good, but the pressure was too great, and he wanted to go to other places that were more relaxed. The competition in the front court is indeed very fierce now, but Liu Yi still tries to rotate as much as possible to give everyone time to play. But it is clear that Anthony Martial is not willing to accept this competition, and he wants a steady start, which will also be good for him to return to the French national team. What makes Liu Yi happy is that Martial is actually loyal to himself to 15, and in the mood description, there are also emotions such as gratitude to himself. This is the reason for the inseparable. Originally, he still wanted to try his best to save Anthony Martial, but Anthony Martial's own will was not so strong, he just wanted to play comfortably, and did not want to compete with people. Mourinho at that time also fell out with Martial because of this issue. "I am not the kind of coach who obstacles the players, so let's get together and disperse." Pogba doesn't know what's going on? What the contract that Paris gave him looked like, Liu Yi was also very curious, but unfortunately now Pogba has not accepted it, he can't see it in the system. By next summer, there are still many contract expiring players in the team, such as Mata and Rojo, so they also have to start to strengthen the team and attract some competitive candidates. In the hotel in Paris, Pogba finally made a decision, he had no choice. Episode 186. Manchester United officials quickly released the news, which quickly made people wonder if they were afraid that Paris Saint-Germain would regret it. All of United's social media accounts simultaneously posted the message, Manchester United player Paul Pogba, £60 million to Paris Saint-Germain. Thank you for his efforts at Manchester United and the joy he has brought to Manchester United fans over the years. We wish him all the best for the future, good luck, Paul. goodbye, it's better not to see each other again, and to meet again may be an enemy. This official tone of Manchester United gives people a kind of impatient, without the slightest nostalgia to cope. Even the Manchester United fans, there is nothing to be nostalgic about, most of them feel that they are angry, and finally got this guy away. No longer have to listen to what he has to say, want to play at Real Madrid, what Manchester City is the team he admires, what national team air is more comfortable. Pogba accepted the contract for Paris, although it is not as good as the contract extension that Manchester United gave him before, but now he has no choice. The intestines of regret are all green, and at the same time, the dissatisfaction with Liu in his heart has also risen to the extreme. When he knew that Liu had won €30 million from his transfer, he was even more resentful in his heart, and he fell to such a point that he blamed the fat man Paris Saint-Germain for also issuing a message. Congratulations on ushering in a real midfield genius in the winter window, providing us with more choices and strong supplements for our fight for this season's Champions League. Welcome at Paul Pogba. Pogba did not send any farewell to Manchester United, but responded to the welcome message from Paris. But this is also normal, after all, it has torn its face, and there is no good way to say. Paris Saint-Germain is a great club. I came here for the title and the honor, I will give everything for the team and can't wait to play alongside my teammates. It seems like everyone is happy, Manchester United get the pound, Paris get the players, Pogba can breathe the relaxed air of Paris, Liu gets the Euro. Manchester United fans are relieved, and Paris fans are looking forward to the Champions League more and more. Look at the current lineup in Paris: Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, Di Maria, Icardi, Verratti, Ramos, Donnarumma are all well-known masters, and now there are more. Pogba. A team that looks strong and very strong and drought strong. So in the press conference against Newcastle, before the start of the game, Liu Yi was also asked this question. Liu, when you let go of Pogba at this time, is it suspected of strengthening competitors? After all, if you can enter the quarterfinals of the Champions League, the probability of winning Paris is very large. Liu Yi smiled slightly. For this question, in fact, he had already said it. We will only keep those who are willing to play for Manchester United. Paul wants to go to Paris. We can only be adult beauty. As for the issue of strengthening hands, we will not be afraid of any team. May I ask, a talented player like Pogba, who is not reused in your hands, is it as the rumor goes, you are a dictator who only uses the players you like? Liu Yi wordlessly patted his head. What is this, a broken question? But he still has to answer. If we usually pay attention to the news, we should know a fact, not that I don't use Pogba, but that he is injured. Do I want to let an injured person play? As for you saying that I only use players I like, then so far Manchester United have almost played, and even the youngsters. I like all the Manchester United players. The reporter sitting in the audience did not think that he was intimidated, and it was best for Liu Yi to rush down from the stage and beat himself up. That was the best thing in the world. May I ask, are you really not going to cooperate with Iola in the future? Of course, we dragon people have always been talkative, a greedy vampire like Liu, and I suggest that other teams also fight him and let this guy get out of football. For Liu, Liu Yi was not half polite, and even directly scolded the dirty words. Naturally, the reporters are very happy. For this kind of head coach who can start the press conference, they love as much as they want. What a good news material. I heard Newcastle is after Martial? Anthony is a good player, his genius is known to everyone, and it's not surprising that Newcastle wants to get him. This kind of useless rhetoric has now learned a lot. In fact, the teams that are interested in Anthony Martial, in addition to Newcastle, there are giants such as Juve and Barcelona, but from the competitive state of these two families, most of them cannot afford to pay. As for wanting to be a white prostitute, at least here in Liu Yi, it is a dream of taking a nap and dreaming for 100 days. The winter window is coming soon. Do you have any arrangements for the reinforcement of the team? There are a few people who have already made preliminary contacts, and if we can take the last step, I will discuss this issue again. Everyone's attention is focused on Pogba, and then there are some questions about Martial or the winter transfer window. After Liu Yi directly announced the starting list, it was somewhat unexpected by everyone. Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe was also asked about Martial and admitted that despite the difficulties, they wanted to give it a try. We are now thirsty for talents, hoping to get some of the people who are seeking. Such remarks are about to be seen that Newcastle is waving its big hand of money and wants to buy in the winter window. Pogba was also watching the press conference, and Liu Yi's remarks undoubtedly made him angry, but there was nothing he could do. Fortunately, now that he has escaped from the clutches of this demon king, he does not have to compete with so many people, and the most important thing is that Fred actually appeared in front of him, which made Pogba unable to bear it. After thinking about it, he finally couldn't help but send a tweet, "By the way, at Manchester United Football Club, if I have the opportunity, I will prove to Lou what a good player I am. He let me go is definitely his loss, and all I get is ease and freedom." Manchester United officials naturally will not respond to him, but the netizens began to get excited, one after another at UEFA's official account. Hey, here comes the chance to live. If both teams can reach the quarterfinals, what's the reason not to put them together? Oh my God, Grandma, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, Manchester United and Pogba, what an amazing flow of traffic. As a Bayern fan, I've started to look forward to a game that has nothing to do with me at all, and I'm excited. 7. Episode 187. Liu Yi naturally did not know that there was a lot of noise outside, but he himself had some expectations, and it was also excellent to touch Paris Saint-Germain. However, the top priority is to face Newcastle United, although it is a weak team, but the process still has to go a bit. Moreover, this game is Martial's inspection battle, and it must not be ambiguous. He also didn't know that Newcastle United's mood of wanting to spend money was already impatient, and he had completely covered up the three who had always spent lavishly. When Liu Yi arranged tactics in the locker room, Sandesi was facing the wall in his office, and he actually faced the real local tycoon, and he was completely disgraced. Shame. Newcastle is not a strong team, but we must not be careless. We hope that everyone on the pitch can maintain enough concentration and face any opponent with all their might. We have been able to get to this day, from the decline when I took over the team, to the fact that we are only one game away from the top of the table, because we have found the spirit of continuous improvement, no matter who the opponent is, the former enemy or the weak opponent, we must give it our all. In order to avoid these guys, because of pride and complacency, there are problems in their hearts, and it is necessary to knock from time to time. Plus he had just disposed of Pogba, and in such a brave way, the players saw that there was a lot of murder hidden in him. Everyone knows that the boss is a very person, but I didn't expect to be so fierce. Therefore, for Liu Yi's reminder, no one dares not to disagree, or does not put it in the psychology, even the thick lines such as Bailey are no exception. And he is now considering whether he has a future at Manchester United, and he has hesitated for several days whether the transfer application he handed in will be withdrawn. Raising his hand and looking at his watch, the time was almost up. Liu Yi stood up and waved to the crowd. Our slogan is "Attack harder, advance more cool." Everyone shouted three noises in unison, so that the Newcastle United players in the locker room of the next home team jumped, but Eddie Howe, suddenly learned a trick from Liu Yi's operation, and it seems like a good way to motivate the team with this blood-boiling slogan. Learned. Learned. Quickly take the small book and write it down, and when you go back, think about a few slogans. You can use it in the face of different opponents. Facing Manchester United today. Or don't think too much, do a good job of defense. The more you think, the more tragic. Liu Yi along the player's path, appeared in front of everyone, can accommodate 52,000 people. St. James's Stadium, more than 6,000 Manchester United fans, have stood up from the act of applauding, cheering to the home team. The fans of Newcastle gave a huge boo, but there was no malice, nothing more than the interaction between the fans. As one of the earliest clubs in England, Newcastle naturally has its own pride. The live camera has a special focus on interests. He waves, he applauds the fans, he greets colleagues around him, and even tidy up his clothes, all of which attract the attention of countless people. No one doubts him. This man who has been questioned from the beginning, who has been scolded by countless people, has become a real superstar, a popular football coach. Soon both players entered, and Liu Yi and Eddie Howe shook hands. At 4 o'clock in the morning Dragon Republic time and 2 p.m. local time, the game is about to start. In the Dragon Country Sports live broadcast room, at least millions of fans are guarding the front of the screen. Although many Manchester United fans are now accustomed to the phrase, "Do I still need to watch my magic game? Wake up to another big win over JPG." But there are still many fans who are accustomed to accompanying their own teams in a literary way. Jean Jun and Jean Coach still sent commentary to everyone and are introducing the starting rosters of both sides. First, the home team Newcastle, goalkeeper Dubravka, defenders from left to right, Jamal Lewis, Russells, Shell, Manquillo. The midfielders are St. Maximin, Willock, Shelvey, Almiron. The double forwards are Jolinton and Callum Wilderson. When it comes to the start of Manchester United, Jean Jun and Jean Coaching tone are suddenly a lot more high-pitched, and the fans in front of the screen are also in good spirits. The god of doors, David De Gea, if he continues to maintain his current form, Henderson can only be a second goal, playing in the cup. I don't know if he will accept his positioning. Given the age gap between the two sides, I don't think Henderson needs to be in such a hurry. De Gea won't be like Luo, kicking to that age, he. On the backside, left back Luke Shaw, right back Wan-Bissaka, centre back Maguire and Lindelof. This is a combination that Manchester United fans are very familiar with, giving Varane a chance to rest. The midfielders are Marcus Rashford on the left, Jesse Lingard on the right, Beefy at the front, Fred at the back. The partners on the front line are Cristiano Ronaldo and Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial has been doing well in the last few games. He has been given the opportunity to play, and this starting time is also what he deserves. Another reason is that Newcastle's pursuit of Martial is already known to everyone, and with Manchester United unintentionally left behind, there is no doubt that this is a race to test Newcastle's goods. Hey, time is running out. Newcastle must invest heavily in this winter window if you want to relegate, and Anthony Martial is really a good first choice. The two analyzed and interjected some football news in time. The referee on the pitch whistled, the game officially began. Welcome fans and friends, this is the 19th round of the Premier League, the Red Devils Manchester United away to the Magpies Newcastle United. Will there be a miracle? Let's wait and see. Here is Jean-Jun and Zhang to guide you to send commentary. At the scene of the game, Liu Yi stood on the side of the court from the beginning of the game, watching his players and fighting on the court. By the way, Greenwood on the bench was called down, pointing to the front of Ronaldo. Mason, take a good look at how Ronaldo handles the ball at the front of the box, study hard. Greenwood had already taken a convincing charge of Luo Xan, and nodded vigorously to show that he must obey. Very good, Liu Yi rubbed his head satisfactorily. On the court, Luo is taking the ball to break through, and it is Anthony Martial who is somewhat dissatisfied, and the distance between him and Luo is getting farther and farther without the ball. However, the advantages of this are also obvious. Luo attracted 3 people to defend, and he was directly emptied. Luo took the ball into the penalty area, and the 3 big men blocked his shooting path to death. Fortunately, Luo did not only shoot, directly heel bumped to Rashford who killed him. After Marcus Rashford got the ball, he directly broke through laterally, flashed out the shooting route at the front of the penalty area, and just when everyone thought he was going to shoot, a relaxed cross passed to close the ball to the feet of the unguarded Masha. After a slight stunned, Martial quickly got up and shot before the defender rushed over, a kick fast and accurate, and a sharp angle poke. Episode 188. The ball went in. It was Anthony Martial who scored, it was Marcus Rashford who passed the ball, but the biggest contributor to this goal should be Cristiano Ronaldo. Jean-Jun gave his own cheers in the live broadcast room, and sometimes he began to wonder if his faith in Liverpool was still strong enough. United scored in the opening 5 minutes, but that's no exaggeration compared to the recent start of their game. Director Zhang, hey, let's look at this goal. Luo's ability to burst forward with the ball, let people be pregnant with 10 years younger, it's amazing. In the end, Rashford's fake shot was probably a deception to all the people, and finally Martial's poke was also very hidden, and the goalkeeper did not react at all. Jean-Jun then sighed, I have to say that Martial still has the ability. I hope his performance can be on Newcastle United 2 intentions. Zhang Guan smiled, then what is not satisfied? Just this kick on the goal, Newcastle strikers cannot kick. Newcastle United's new president, Yasser Rumiang, did not go to the scene to see the ball, mainly because he was busy with other things, otherwise he would definitely go to the scene to see this goal and call the people below. Give the money to Manchester United, this boy named Anthony I like, this kick is really wonderful. President, Manchester United is not a matter of money now, they are afraid that Anthony Martial will not perform well, which will affect our relationship with them, and if they want to rent first, if they perform well, then transfer. For this kind of question, Yahir naturally had his own wisdom, quietly facing the mahogany table from the Dragon Kingdom, and the 2 words that were lightly written in his mouth, add money. Since it is not a matter of money, it is a matter of adding money. The subordinate immediately understood that he had been following the new head and boss for several years, and he was naturally very familiar with their style of acting. By the way, if possible, please talk to Ed, I want to invite him and Lou to have a light meal, hoping to give face. No problem, Ed has already made similar remarks before, wanting to have a meal with you, he does the East. He makes a fart East, he can have a few dollars as a working boy, I do the East. Yassir insisted on his idea, which made his subordinates feel domineering and crisply agreed. However, martial performance, this is just the beginning, today in order to give Newcastle a surprise, Liu Yi can simulate more than a dozen games, only to get a good result. Just 20 minutes after the game, Manchester United scored again, and it was Anthony Martial who scored again. This time it was Ronaldo who delivered the assist, cruising to the left side of Ronaldo, receiving a wide range of transfer balls from Jesse Lingard on the right, an easy stop, stopping the ball on the foot under the confrontation, and passing to Anthony Martial in the middle. Martial began his maneuvering, just like when he was younger, shaking his body quickly and breaking through the defenders in front of him. Facing the goalkeeper, a calm provocative shot scored the second goal of the game. The indifference on his face that had not changed for thousands of years finally came out with a smile on his face, and his teeth were very white. He sped toward the sideline, then pulled up his jersey in front of the camera, underneath which was a white liner with a line of words, "I am eternally grateful to you, boss." At the same time, his hands pointed to Liu Yi on the sidelines, and Liu Yi did not expect that Martial would actually make such a show, and he was a little touched for a while. Applause was extended to Anthony Martial and the other players rushed up to celebrate with Anthony Martial. A good man with good feelings and righteousness, Yasher in front of the TV set, dialed the subordinate's phone again, and he did not quit after the last call, but it was very convenient. "It's better to talk about the contract before the winter window starts. I want to see Anthony in the first game of the winter window. I see Anthony wearing the Newcastle shirt, understand?" "Understood. Don't give my mother-in-law enough to add money, don't give it to my mother-in-law. I heard that Barca and Juve also want martial arts. What level of our competitors are, you can be a little forced in your heart. Rest assured." "How can I rest assured? This has been dragging on for 2 or 3 days, and if it really doesn't work, I will personally go out on the horse." After Yasser finished speaking, he hung up the phone and continued to enjoy Martial's performance, like a Manchester United fan, applauding Anthony Martial's breakthrough, Martial's passing, and sighing for Martial's missed opportunity. Ronaldo's performances are also wonderful, but Yasser knows very well that Anthony Martial is the one he can get. At the end of the first half, Ronaldo passed the ball to Jesse Lingard, who made a crisp volley and the ball went straight to the dead end, rewriting the score to 3-0. This made Yasser feel a little sorry, and at the same time secretly blamed his men for moving too slowly, and Jesse Lingard was one of his goals, to see this beautiful ball. If Jesse Lingard has not renewed his contract, then these 3 goals can be said to be scored by future Newcastle players, and it is comfortable to think about it. After a short intermission, the two sides swapped venues and the game continued. Both sides did not make personnel adjustments. In the 55th minute of the second half, Liu Yi scored his first goal of the day, after receiving Faye's pass, a super long-range shot with a shocking four-seat position, about 35 meters away from the goal. The beefy is equivalent to picking up an assist in vain. In the 60th minute, Liu Yi was directly replaced by Liu Yi with Greenwood, resting for such a long time, so that the young man also came on the field to learn about the congestion. Van der Beek was replaced with the beefy and Sancho was replaced by Lingard. Directly used up all the substitution places. Anyway, the game has been won, and then the whole game can be controlled. The best performance came in the 85th minute, when Anthony Martial and Marcus went on the right side of the line and Rashford went past 2 in a row, hitting near the bottom line, and a dashing man scored and broke into the box. Passing the ball directly to Van der Beek, he took 2 steps forward and dodged the defender's gaze. Van der Beek's pass came in just in time, and Martial stretched his body extremely wide, and a volley of his right foot hooked the ball into the goal. Falling heavily to the ground, Martial suddenly wanted to cry. He somewhat forgot what was the reason why he started playing. "I also remember when I was young, my mother said to myself, 'Anthony, you have to be happy.'" More than 50,000 people at the scene, including Newcastle fans, stood up to salute this great goal, applauded and cheered, not knowing who started shouting, "Martial Anthony, Newcastle needs you." Teammates rushed up and celebrated with Anthony Martial, who turned his head sideways and looked at the place where the coach's bench was, where all the teammates and coaches were celebrating. The BSS, which came from the distant Dragon Kingdom and subdued everyone in a short period of time, was also in the crowd of celebratory people. "Boss, I want to play for you, but I'm not easy and unhappy at Manchester United." Episode 189. Looking at the screen in front of him, Yasser raised his arms and shouted, "This is the player he needs." With such players, why worry about Newcastle United not being very happy? Frenziedly waving his arms to celebrate Anthony Martial's goal, more excited than Martial himself. It wasn't until the game resumed that Yasser calmed down and then dialed the assistant below again. Tomorrow I'll go to Manchester in person, meet with Liu Yi and Ed Wardwood, and take Anthony's contract down. Forget it, get ready for my private jet right away, I'm going to Manchester overnight and surprise Ed. The game ended quickly, and the referee did not give any stoppage time, mainly because both sides played very politely, and there were no large-scale defensive actions. The only waste of time in the second half was the substitution, so simply not to make up time. Newcastle's players actually came up to Anthony Martial to hug him and then bless him and praise him for his wonderful performance. The players returned to the dressing room one after another, and Liu Yi had been standing on the sidelines waiting for Martial to shake hands with Newcastle United players and comfort their hearts. Finally, Martial smiled and hugged Liu Yi, patting each other on the shoulders for time, and everything between the men was silent. As the best Martial in the game, when interviewed by reporters, he praised the club and his teammates, and felt the usual makeup for the atmosphere in the current team. For Liu Yi, he praised Liu Yi even more, claiming that Liu Yi is one of the best managers in today's football. He takes great care of each of our players, helps everyone as much as possible, we all admire him very much, respect him, he is also a very good friend, you can go to him if you have any difficulties. Paul, I don't know what's going on, but Paul feels a little uncool in this matter, and things should have been handled better. So, you chose to stand on Liu Yi's side? Of course, Martial did not hesitate to give the answer, not even a second of ambiguity, and there was already an answer in his mind. When Liu Yi was interviewed, he also praised Anthony. Everyone can see what a good player Anthony is, look at his beautiful breakthroughs and goals, amazing choices, it is simply Henry regeneration. In my opinion, he is omnipotent, as long as he is on the pitch, he always gives his all, there was some misunderstanding about him before. Barca and Juve, Atletico's pursuit? Of course it's a very normal thing, good players always attract the attention of other clubs, and naturally the club knows what they want is 10. On the other hand, Newcastle United head coach Eddie Howe also touted Martial in an interview. Anthony is the kind of player that anyone wants and I'm no exception. I think we still have a little advantage over Barca, Juve, and I hope Anthony can look at us and give us a chance to negotiate. Will it start? It's a stupid question, unless it's a squad like Manchester United's, putting a player like Anthony on the bench, are you committing a crime, you know? If Anthony is willing to come to Newcastle, all Newcastle fans will love him, sing for him and salute him. At the beginning of the game, there was basically a discussion about Pogba, and after the game, everyone's eyes were on Anthony Martial. After all, Anthony Martial hasn't been so good in a long time, and now he has suddenly burst out, scoring in several consecutive games and performing very well in each one. So before he performed badly, it was his own problem, or the coach's problem. Judging from the fact that Manchester United finally replaced Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I am afraid that the coach's problem is a little bigger. After all, a coach makes all the players play uncomfortable, which is really a big problem. In the locker room, Liu Yi and the players had a simple celebration. More than 2 hours of driving, everyone was ready to return to Manchester overnight. Suddenly, Newcastle staff knocked on the door and came in, greeted everyone, and walked to Liu Yi. Liu, our new president of Newcastle, is also preparing to go to Manchester, and he invites you to take his private jet and go with you. Oh, I'm sorry, I want to go home with my players, thank him for his kindness, and I'm willing to have a cup of tea with him if I have the chance. Liu Yi naturally would not agree, although he said that he had never taken a private plane in his life, but this thing was not something that he could not afford to spend now. Work hard, do more endorsements and the like, and one day have your own private jet. After receiving Liu Yi's reply, Yeshur also felt reasonable, and at the same time, he also felt a voice. Maybe this is also part of the reason why he can get the love of the players. After this game, there is one more thing for Manchester United and Liu Yi to be happy about. Liverpool and Leeds United, who played early 2 days ago, played a 2-2 draw, so that Manchester United were at the top of the Premier League with the same points, with the advantage of goal difference. In the final round of the first half of the competition, it is the top half of the Premier League, and it is by virtue of the advantage of goal difference, you can imagine how fierce the competition for the title is. Now the top 4 of the Premier League leaderboard, the points are the same 44 points, which shows that the reputation of the world's first league is definitely not forced out. But for other opponents, Liverpool and Leeds United, 2 of United's nemesis, shook hands and sent Manchester United to the top of the table, which is simply a black humor. The most important thing is that from the current performance of Manchester United, who can stop him is still a big question mark. Even who would break through the goal guarded by De Gea and score the first goal against Norwich, Manchester United is also a big question mark. desperately powerful, before changing the manager. Who would have thought that these players of Manchester United could burst out such a powerful fighting force? So a new round of spit on Klopp and Liverpool began among fans of the Premier League and all Champions League teams. If Klopp had been a little lighter, United might still be around 10 now. I think if it weren't for Klopp, my car would have been at the top of the list. I hope the next time we meet, Liverpool can send 3 points to comfort my wounded heart. In the mansion in Manchester, Manchester United CEO Santacuco, who relaxed after watching the game and was preparing to go to bed, received a call that made him doubt his life. Yasher, I know you want Anthony, but it's 23 o'clock, and I can't stand it as an old fellow. Episode 190. At noon the next day, Liu Yi was woken up by Sandezi's phone call, saying that the new president of Newcastle must invite them to dinner and talk about Marshall by the way. Yahir came last night? Don't mention it, it's a stomach complaint. This guy called me in the middle of the night last night and said he was going to meet with me to talk about Marshall's transfer. Liu Yi patted his forehead. This is the willfulness of the local tycoon. Wanting to apply for a temporary route at night and then let the private plane take off and land requires a lot of money, but Yashir did just that, and he didn't even want to wait for one night. Hang up the phone, clean up the image, put on his bozzetting down jacket is not that he has a fondness for bozzetting, but because he has clothes to wear, and he does not have to spend money on his own, it is even more necessary to buy new ones. Manchester's best French restaurant, Liu Yi saw this local tycoon. It looks like some thick looks, but who is going to look down on him? The story of the slicing reporter at that time spread all over the world, even though he was only one of the subordinates of the big guy. Santacuco arrived early, and the two chatted quickly. Yasher warmly hugged Liu Yi. My dear friend, the final worker has seen you. After everyone sat down, they quickly talked about Anthony Marshall. Ed said that he can't make up his mind about things and needs you to decide. What do you think about this matter? Liu Yi looked at Sandezi, and it seemed that he had no way to convince Yasir. If it's for the transfer fee, you can just say the number. We certainly don't have a problem. We don't need to dwell on this issue. Touching his forehead, Liu Yi understood why Sandezi was helpless, and the people on this conversation and judgment felt very careful. Yasher, it's not a matter of money. We at Manchester United are not like you have money, but we are not bad for money. Yasir nodded. Manchester United is operating in the world's football clubs, that is the existence of the first gear, absolutely not bad money. The Anthony thing, it's not that I don't want him to transfer to Newcastle, but I'm worried that he won't play well at Newcastle. Lou, I know you are a generous person, but there is no loss in business. After Anthony arrived at Newcastle, even if he directly lay down for a few years, I will not blame you and Manchester United. Our relationship is still no problem. Yasser directly interrupted Liu Yi to show his sincerity. Yasser, we are pursuing a win-win situation, so we are in a safe position. First of all, let's give Anthony Marshall to Newcastle for half a year, which is a good first choice. Yasser retorted again. Liu, you will tell us how to use Anthony well, right? Just like someone said, the instruction manual should be given to us together, right? Liu Yi was helpless, and his words were all said on this. Anthony Marshall is a player who needs positive motivation and people like him. Rest assured, we will do it. All the people who don't like Anthony can let him get out of the egg. I guarantee Anthony's position in Newcastle. You look at the performance of the fans yesterday, you know how much everyone likes him. Yesterday was a special situation. Anthony Marshall couldn't have done so well every game. Lou, I'm a watcher, not ignorant of football, will give Anthony a good environment. Half an hour later, Louis had nothing to say, and the other party's commitment was too much in place. We are also ready to hire a professional psychomasseur to keep an eye on Anthony's state and psychology to ensure that he can play happily in Newcastle. I have no problem. Louis waved his hand, and the other party really convinced him, and he had to say that having money is to be able to do whatever he wants. Then the transfer fee thing, £80 million. If Manchester United are not satisfied, we can still negotiate. Yasher's price is high. I think £60 million is a reasonable price, and I promise you won't feel a loss when you buy it. Liu Yi took the initiative to cut £20 million, but the human feelings of the football world are also very important. Sandezi looked at Liu Yi and was very satisfied. Even if he made his own bid, he would only pay £70 million. Liu Yi's attitude is undoubted. Since everyone is making friends, there is no need to slaughter people so fiercely. After all, they will have to deal with each other in the future. Liu, you are a real gentleman. Yasher looked at Liu Yi, and there is no doubt that taking the initiative to reduce prices is also a tradition of Manchester United. Half of the veterans in Manchester United, if you want to go out and get a high salary, Manchester United will not stop the transfer fee, and the human touch is one of the characteristics of this club. That's how it was decided. You can now contact Anthony Martial's agent, Philip. Liu Yi and Sandesi shook hands with Yasser separately, and the transfer has been no problem for the club so far, and the rest is Newcastle to convince Anthony Martial. Presumably, the fans of Newcastle last night stood up to applaud Martial and chanted, "Anthony, we need you." Such a thing has left a deep impact on Martial, and it is very beneficial for Newcastle. Another reason is that although Newcastle says that his current record is not good, he has more than $100 million and never has to worry about salary. However, these things, Liu Yi did not plan to ask after eating directly home to rest. There is now a woman in the house, who often cleans up, and even the clothes that Liu Yi has changed, Lin Shuyue has helped the dead wash. "Sister Lin, what kind of underwear? I'll wash it myself." Liu Yi, who has just come off, looks like a real man with a full sense of manliness, but in fact he is still a little shy. "If there's anything to see, I'll wash it with my hands." Lin Shuyue looked at Liu Yi, but felt that at this time, he was a little more cute. It was a fascinating man, and he didn't know which little goblin would be cheaper. Liu Yi did not go to look for Martial. "Monsieur, you know that I came to the door." As soon as he entered the door and saw Lin Shuyue, he bowed decisively and said hello, "Hello Lady Liu." "Anthony, Sister Lin is my friend, not a lady." Martial winked at Liu Yi, a look I understand, let Liu Yi feel speechless. This boy is not an honest person. The current girlfriend is when the ex-girlfriend is still a girlfriend, cheated on the current girlfriend. Lin Shuyue actually blushed, but immediately cleaned up her mood, gave Martial a cup of tea, and said hello to herself and went back to the room. "Boss, I want you to help me come up with ideas. Newcastle wants me to transfer directly. What do you think I should do?" Episode 191. Liu Yi and Martial exchanged heartfelt thoughts, but did not give the answer directly. Martial is already an adult, he has his own ideas. In fact, after knowing Newcastle's offer, he had completely figured it out, and now that he came to find Liu Yi, he felt some debt to Liu Yi. "I played very comfortably in these games, thanks to the coach's tactical arrangements. I also played very comfortably. If it weren't for the excessive pressure, he probably wouldn't have left Manchester United, and such a good atmosphere and upcoming title, he is naturally very eager. I'll arrange for you to start the next game." When Martial left, Liu Yi suddenly said a word, letting Martial, who had been stretching him, suddenly lower his head and speed up his pace to leave. The next game is Manchester United's last game of 2021, at home to Burnley. This is to give Martial a chance to say goodbye to Manchester United fans. After all, he has brought countless joys to Manchester United fans. His first time for Manchester United, against Liverpool, facing 3 people in the penalty area to defend continuously, please defend. The picture of sending the ball into the goal has left a deep impression on countless Manchester United fans. Even now, he has grown from a young player to the peak age of a striker, and Manchester United fans are even more angry with him. I hope he can run hard and catch up with him who was once high hopes. Speaking of Manchester United and the fans, they have not given up on him, but he has given up on himself, and the contract given to him by Manchester United is fully worthy of his performance. If compared to other teams, it is a contract with an incomparable conscience. Coming out of the coach's office, Martial rubbed his eyes, grinned, and always had to make a decision anyway, just like the boss said, obey his own will. On the training ground, the players suddenly found that today's Martial worked extra hard, and even began to ask for other players, from time to time, to make his shouts. Perhaps in order to integrate this familiar everything into his memory, the young life is forever frozen here, but his life will continue. His teammates are also very cooperative with him, doing a lot of running around him, even see Ronaldo, who is the captain. Everyone understands that something is going to happen. But Martial is different from Pogba, did not fall out with the boss, and has a very good relationship with everyone. Outside, the big and small media began to information about Martial's transfer. At the beginning there were rumors about Juve and Barca, and even Manchester United's Champions League opponent Atletico. Over time, finally all the information pointed to Newcastle United, the oil 10 with money sincerity to impress Manchester United mouth Masha U. According to the Manchester Evening News reporter, Manchester United will reduce the transfer fee requirements to exchange for a high-level contract for Anthony. Renowned transfer expert Romano, Anthony Martial will get more in Newcastle than Pogba did in Paris. United's official social media, simply commented, "Now Anthony Martial is still our player." It was almost predestined, and the fans reacted as Pogba and Martial, who had previously been hailed as French Gemini, the former and the club tore their faces apart and left the club in an extremely undignified way. Now Anthony Martial is leaving, and the goals he has scored, those assists and scores, the wonderful performances have appeared in the memory of the fans. For a time, large and small websites and forums, almost all nostalgia for the past. Maybe it would be better to change the environment, and we will always bless Anthony. I hope Martial can find his former self in a new environment. I hope he'll be happy forever, Pot laughs. Time passed quickly, and when he left work, Liu Yi welcomed Philippe, Martial's agent. "Liu, you are a true gentleman, you have the unique noble qualities of the dragon people, may your ancestors bless you with all the best." The behavior of Manchester United has made Anthony Martial's transfer very smooth, and Philip has also gained a lot of benefits, which is naturally grateful. "Philip, as long as it's not a vampire like Leola, we want everyone to make friends. On behalf of Anthony, I thank you for your kindness, and Anthony will always remember you." The two chatted briefly. Basically Liu Yi enjoyed each other's pursuit, of course, this is deserved. When she returned home, Lin Shuiyue had already made dinner and was sitting quietly in front of the floor-to-ceiling glass window, watching the drama with a tablet, waiting for him by the way. "Why are you coming back now?" Caught halfway by Martial agent, casually chatted. Liu Yi ripped off his coat while casually chatting, which was surprisingly harmonious. "What has Yaodong been like lately?" "Happy not to think about it, now that he has become a child king in the youth team, I am not happy to let him go home." In Lin Shuiyue's words, she was proud and lost. "This boy is a little interesting, I'll go see him when I'm free." The players of U16 are already convinced of Yao Yaodong, and the evaluation of Yao Yaodong is that he is second only to the football genius of Boss. And among young players, there is already a certain influence. At Ronaldo's home, his son, Mini Ronaldo, also playing at Manchester United's U12, is reporting to his dad about his latest events. "Dad, I've had a new idol lately?" Si Luo frowned and felt that things were not simple. The new idol will not be Messi. Of course not. Luan, Sulla, Sancho. Si Luo said dozens of names in one breath, all of which were vetoed by Mini Luo. Finally, looking at the father's face tangled, Mini Luo said his answer. "It's Gao, he's a dragon countryman, and his dragon pronunciation is Yao Yaodong." I have to say that the pronunciation of the three words of Mini Luo is a positive cavity circle, and the standard can no longer be standardized. U16's it. Si Luo suddenly thought of the young man he and Liu Yi had received before. "Dad, do you know him?" Now it was Mini Luo's turn to be shocked. A superstar like his father could actually pay attention to a young U16, who had just arrived at the team not long ago. Next, it was Ronaldo's turn to start performing, saying something about Yao Yaodong's day, and then asking Mini Luo a question, "Do you know who is Gao's idol?" Mini Luo looked up at his father, and sure enough, the old naughty boy Luo pointed his thumb at himself with a proud face. After eating and sitting with Lin Shuiyue for a while, Liu Yi returned to his bedroom and logged into the game. Before the game with Newcastle, the reward had not yet been received. It was his 10th league game at the helm of Manchester United, and according to the conventions of the system, there should be good prizes. The most important thing is that Yao Yaodong has become a member of Manchester United's youth training, and Liu Yi can see his potential and current ability. Episode 192. Congratulations to the host for leading the team to 10 consecutive league wins, and the reward influence has increased. Liu Yi can still think of how much surprise he brought to him when his influence was increased last time, so what will it be this time? It is estimated that it will take a few days to know. Congratulations to the host for leading the team to beat Newcastle United and rewarding a coach card. How is it not an elite coach card? Is it Eddie Howe's level is not enough? Congratulations to the host's players, scoring goals in 10 consecutive league rounds, rewarding acting cards. It just so happens that the last time I used that one to shoot with Dabami, it is also good to have a reserve now. There are only such 3, and it is not rewarded with Manchester United shares, which makes Liu Yi feel a little strange, but the system does not give a reason, and he himself has no way. After determining that there was no reward, Liu Yi went directly into the game's youth training system and found Yao Yaodong's name. From the outside, the current strength is 2 stars, and the potential is full 5 stars. Sleeping grooves, a look is very good. Quickly click on the modifier, look at the specific number of building women's data. Current capacity 119, potential capacity 196. Lying in the groove, Liu Yi directly smashed a fist on the table, which is also too good. You must know that in the Manchester United youth team, Chotel, who is known as the third prince, is only the current ability of 99, and the potential is only 165. The second prince Aoki Ball King Greenwood, who is already the main rotation of the first team, has a current ability of 139 and a potential of 172, which is already a very strong young player. Jiao Yaodong is only 15 years old, and Chotel is 2 years younger. Among the specific attributes, passing and crossing double 14, technique 16, dribbling 15, shooting slightly worse than 13, these are all attributes that can grow up quickly. Talent up to 18, which is already a terrible number, leadership 17, this is still his previous domestic, not very good education in this area, in the Manchester United youth system, maybe it can be promoted to 20. Willpower 16 is also a good attribute, thinking that when he was in China before, he suffered so many grievances, he could carry it down, and he was a little man. In terms of body data, because it is still growing, there is no reference. Even so, both speed and explosive power reached 16. It is no wonder that he is known as the star of hope that can save dragon football, such a talented young man. As long as he is given a normal growth environment, he can live up to anyone's growth. Unfortunately, it is only a normal environment, and there is no way to provide it in China. If Liu Yi had discovered him in time, it is estimated that he would have regarded football as a hobby and begun to concentrate on preparing for a good university. Lucky. One of the most surprising items here is the leadership of up to 17, and recently in the Dragon Kingdom, because of the entry of a large number of top foreign aides, domestic players, Pu Bian-su lacks this characteristic. Now with this attribute, Liu Yi wants to carry him to the first team, but considering that his body is still growing, let's put it in the youth team first. If you are injured by a tackle, you will be in pain and die. Jiao Yaodong's 3 moods, I am extremely happy to be able to come to Manchester United. Loved everything about Manchester United. Never live up to the expectations of the coach and mother, fight for the national football. Very good, this boy's mentality is no problem, Liu Yi is very touched to see it, and sure enough, the person selected by the system is simply as good as himself. The next day, Liu Yi arrived at Carrington early and met Luo on the way. Boss, you brought high before, but now it's amazing. Liu Yi said hello in his head. Did Gao Yaodong come up with something? Did he not know what he said? My son told me last night that his new idol now is Gao Yaodong. When Si Luo said this, he was obviously a little jealous, which is not surprising for Luo 3-year-old. Suddenly Liu Yi laughed out, and sure enough, this boy is not simple, you must know Mini Luo, but he is also a very talented young man. Come with me to see. Now that the youth team has not started training, it should be time to relax. Si Luo looked at his watch. Just in case. Liu Yi walked straight to the youth team, and in the distance he could see a person running around the court. With some surprise, the two stood at a distance of tens of meters, and saw that this black-haired boy wearing the number 7 shirt of the youth team was the Gao Yaodong they had just discussed, and he had 10 soccer balls in front of him, one by one, carefully arranged, and kicked towards the circle hanging on the goal, which was practicing shooting. When you go to pick up the ball, you also have to practice changing the speed run and changing the rhythm of the ball running. 10 minutes later, Liu Yi and Luo turned away from here and walked towards the training ground of the first team, and they could already see some people one after another. Boss, this lad will become a superstar in the future. Well, of course, I brought him out of the Dragon Kingdom just to make him a superstar. When Liu Yi said this, his words were full of pride. A hardworking, gifted child is to succeed. Back at the office, Liu Yi did not prepare for the evening game, but a phone call called Brian McClare, Yao Yaodong for their daily training, and it was the training director who was in charge. Brian didn't have to guess that the boss knew whose training was going on, so he took a prepared training note and went straight to the head coach office. Boss, I was about to report to you on the recent youth team, and I was afraid of disturbing your busy work. It's okay, we Manchester United have an excellent youth tradition, and we have to see the youth training when we are busy. Liu Yi motioned for Brian to sit down, and the two casually chatted. Brian began to quickly put the academy at a rapid pace. How many people had recently come to the trial, how many people had left, etc., which were said in 3 or 2 minutes, and he also knew that the boss did not care about this. Finally, I want to focus on talking to the boss about Yao Yaodong. Oh, I care about him too, you say? Then Brian began to talk about Yao Yaodong. From the first day he entered the academy, he insisted on getting up first and sleeping the last every day. Every day, on the basis of the coach's arrangement, some shooting training and dribbling training will be added, and even the strength training will be added at the beginning, and after being stopped by the coach, he will start speed training again. The most important thing is that his English level has improved rapidly, and he is now able to communicate with others, and he is not afraid to communicate. Boss, this kid is a genius. What's more, he has won the support of a huge majority of U16 players in just such a short period of time, and in the last 5 games, he has been selected as captain. Even his performance, I think I should directly promote him to the youth team. U16 can no longer tolerate him. Brian flipped through his notebook to see which buildings in Gaodong were both women's data. Liu Yi waved his hand and said that he objected. His body is still growing, our domestic football environment is not very good, the most important thing for him now is to adapt to formal training. U16 first stay for 3 months. I hope you can let his football talent enjoy the bloom. Episode 193. The match between Manchester United and Burnley was the latest of the day, starting at 8:15 local, or 4:15 a.m. Dragon time. Birthday is over. For the fans who have to go to work during the day, it is really fatal. Many people choose to sleep until 4 o'clock, then get up to watch the game, and then directly pack up and go to work after watching it. In the Longhua live broadcast room, Zhang Jun and Zhang Ji, as well as Dong Fenghua, who came as a special guest again, were chatting about the recent football news. The beautiful woman who stands on the side and is responsible for the eyes and lottery also interjects a sentence from time to time. Zhang Jun, Martial Anthony's Manchester United career looks like it is over, but from the interaction between the two sides, this should be a friendly breakup. Dong Fenghua, in fact, for the most part, Manchester United are very good to the players and staff, and will not make a fuss like Pogba, completely tearing the face. Zhang guided, hey, we Liu Yi also gave Martial a chance, and Martial performance is also remarkable, plus when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was before, Martial said that he wanted to start, it is estimated that he can't meet this. Zhang Jun, Manchester United is also the best of kindness, the starting position itself depends on strength and state to divide, if you go up and cause the team to lose, who can convince you? At the pre-match press conference, Liu Yi directly announced the starting list, and in the world's large and small live broadcast rooms, the commentators also analyzed the starting lineups of both sides for the fans. In the Dragon Country live broadcast room, the trio who chatted about the transfer news also began to introduce the starting lineup of both sides. Manchester United goalkeeper is still David De Gea, this is beyond doubt. After the FA Cup starts, Henderson should get enough chances. After all, the second half of Manchester United's game is still relatively tense. On the defensive line, Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are around, in the middle is Verena's partner Maguire. Lindelof is in the process of making final confirmation because he has a heart disease, we wish him no problem, can return to the field as soon as possible and continue to shine for Manchester United. On the left of the midfield, on the right is Fred, who has not moved for 1,000 years, which is almost growing to the level of Kanté, almost a pass and a long-range shot. On the left side of the field is Manchester United's number 1 superstar, Manchester United captain, one of the best players in world football, Cristiano Ronaldo. In the middle could be tonight's protagonist, Anthony Martial, and on the right is Manchester United's Mr. 80 million Mr. Jadon Sancho. After the introduction, Zhang coach couldn't help but feel a sentence, I am very confused, Manchester United such a good squad, before it was not good to play. The level of the manager is very important, and in this respect I have a lot of admiration for my former coach, Sir Alex, who can bring a squad that is not a top level to the Premier League title and the Champions League final. This ability is invincible in the world. It was Dong Fenghua who said this. When he was a coach, he was a little shaken, but also a little proud. After all, he could be looked at by Manchester United, and he paid the transfer fee to take him away, which is already the only one. This can't be said. Look at our level of Liu Yi, I think his future is very terrible. Zhang Jun expressed a slight objection to Dong Fenghua's statement. During the conversation, the players from both sides had already entered, and when the on-site commentator called out Anthony Martial's name, the whole Manchester United players responded in unison. Thunderous applause and howls of the wind rang out inside Old Trafford. The fans in the stands, many dressed in Martial jersey, shouted his name, and banners and huge Martial portraits were displayed. Anthony, we love you forever. Anthony, Manchester United is your home forever. Thank you for the joy and memories you bring us, and I wish you happiness too. Anthony Martial's eyes were red and he was forcibly put down. I looked down and touched the turf at Old Trafford, and the next time I stepped on it, it would be as an opponent. The referee whistled and the game officially began. In the Longwa live broadcast room, Jean Jun's familiar mouth rang out, "Welcome to the fans and friends who stayed up late. Here is the 2021-2022 season, the second round of the Premier League. Manchester United host Burnley. For the Red Devils fans, it is a must-win game. This game is guided by Jean Jun and Zhang." And Dong Fenghua sent commentary for everyone. Burn kicked off first, steadily passing the ball back to the backcourt without attacking from the start. Manchester United naturally followed up and began a wide range of pressure, with Jesse Lingard and Cristiano Ronaldo on the left, Sancho and Buffon on the right, running very actively. Even Martial has greatly improved his ability to oppress under this system. Burnley's arrival at his feet lasted only 2 minutes before being snatched up by Manchester United and had to pass back to the goalkeeper, who rushed up to the goalkeeper. No way, Burnley's goalkeeper Pop had no other choice but to drive the ball out with a big foot. The forwards did not run into position. The football was given to the horse by Vernier. Maguire looked up at the front and habitually took a step forward, which passed the ball to Fred. Now the confrontation is a lot stronger, but the confrontation situation easy to cause mistakes, so he is now also biased towards a quick transfer of the ball. The ball went from Fred to B's feet, and Buffon forced it down, passing a diagonal long pass to Rowe's intentions, but to stabilize the rhythm and observe the position of his teammates. Liu Yi has reminded Faith several times of the random loss of the ball, and now Manchester United do not need this kind of luck to play. The ball passed to Sancho, Sang Yang failed to break through with the ball, and Buffon rushed up to grab the ball back, directly back to Wan-Bissaka behind him. In this round of attack, Manchester United played very patiently, passing 5 minutes of the ball to suppress Burnley's players within 30 meters. Jesse Lingard got up to cross, Rowe's header would do, and Anthony Martial met the ball and fired it, which was pounced on by goalkeeper Pope. It was only this kick that was so powerful that it caused Pop to break away, and Rowe sent the ball into the goal before the Burnley players could break the line. Anthony Martial received his first assist of the game. Ronaldo pointed at Anthony Martial, and the two ran to the sideline together, and Lingard and others behind them also followed, and Chi made Ronaldo sui 3i to celebrate the goal. The fans at the scene, naturally and unsparingly, gave applause and shouts. In the Dragon Kingdom's live broadcast room, everyone is analyzing the goal. It can be seen that everyone wants Anthony Martial to play more relaxed in this game, and to give him a lot of balls and passes. Hey, I think this is our Liu Yi teaching Newcastle United head coach, Eddie Howe Martial's instructions. Dong Fenghua began to analyze the goal. Just this goal, Manchester United as a whole played very patiently, but if we analyze it on the back, we can see that all the running positions, including Luo, are to be pulled away by Martial and let him get a chance to shoot or break through. Episode 194. How to stimulate the maximum potential of a player. Some people may be able to discourage obstacles, but that is for the kind of players who are determined and indomitable. With the further development of society, the living standards of players are getting less and less when they are young, and there are fewer and fewer such players. Martial is a negative example. If you want him to play well, you have to constantly tap his shining point, and then let him kick comfortably. He can burst out of the powerful energy. That's the way it was today, and even Rowe was assigned to give Martial a defense, not to mention the others. In the 23rd minute of the match, United's second goal of the game was also Anthony Martial's first goal that came late. But everyone who sees this goal will find it very enjoyable or tearful. After switching positions with Cristiano Ronaldo, Martial received a wide transfer of Buffon's on the left side, then turned around and faced his hand, tossed and turned in the penalty area, past 3 defenders in a row, and scored the ball with a smart poke into the Burnley goal, which made people can't help but ring. And Martial's first appearance for Manchester United was a wonderful goal against Liverpool. Many fans at the scene suddenly found that not only time was lost, but also their own youth. The new Henry, who had high hopes from Manchester United, is now leaving Manchester United, and so many years of time have passed in a trance. Watch the big screen play back to Martial's goal, and Martial's celebration after the goal. Slap the Manchester United logo on the chest hard, and then in front of the camera, kiss the team logo affectionately. Separation has nothing to do with love or not love. may just be inappropriate. From this point on, the game didn't seem to care much anymore, and people fell into the memory. When Marshall made his debut, what he was doing and where he was. What has changed this pig-killing knife in the past is that the new Henry was scolded as the director of the horse factory, and the self who was full of vigor in the school at that time also fell into the embarrassment of the prison after leaving the school. In the Longhua live broadcast room, Jean Jun affectionately wished the majority of fans Mingyu, "I hope that Marshall can find his former self, each of us can find our dreams, live the days we want to live, life continues, we continue to work hard, cheer Anthoniel, cheer everyone." If it wasn't for the fact that the game was still going on, everyone thought it was a testimonial for the end of the game. On the sidelines, Liu Yi put his hands in his pockets and did not celebrate as frantically as usual, but stood there quietly, driving Marshall's goals and celebrations. The camera swept over his calm face, and you could feel the ripples of emotion in it. In the 33rd minute of the game, after Anthony Marshall broke through the middle of the road, he passed the ball with a hidden heel and passed the ball to Ronaldo on the side of his body. Luo made a delicate provocative kick, picked the football over the top of the defender's head, drew a wonderful arc, and rubbed the crossbar and landed in the goal. In the 40th minute of the game, it was Anthony Marshall who played with Jesse Lingard on the left side of the road and finally passed the ball to the feet of Ronaldo in the middle. Luo hit a beautiful slash that hit goalkeeper Pope's body and crashed into the goal. As long as Pop falls at a speed of 0.1 seconds, the ball will be saved by him, but unfortunately the real game cannot be saved. In the first half alone, Anthony Marshall scored a goal and 3 assists to help United lead Burnley 4-0. Both the narrator and the commentators around the world have praised Anthony Marshall for his perfect performance, which is simply a player of the ball. If Marshall keeps playing like this, he's not the new Henry, he's the only Anthony Marshall. If Anthony Marshall had met Liu Yi sooner, perhaps his fate with Manchester United would not have ended here. Look at these dashing breakouts and passes, and this exquisite goal. Players like this, Newcastle United have picked up the treasure. Newcastle United's official social media also retweeted a video of Anthony Marshall's goal, which was then accompanied by copywriting, as a New Year's gift for Newcastle fans. What do you think? Newcastle fans naturally responded, "Oh God, let me dream for a while. I'm going to tell my girlfriend the good news and she'll reward me. Such a gift is more, we Newcastle will never be downgraded." During the intermission, Liu Yi made simple arrangements for the second half, sent Rashford to warm up, and prepared to replace Luo in the second half. After all, the age of 37 is already an old man, and it is a little bit to save a little. Tactics are something Luo and Ra's use is not the same, naturally to adjust, such as Rashford's header ability, with that is simply better than nothing. Soon the second half began. 2 minutes after the start of the match, a dead-end shot was applied for a substitution by Manchester United, with number 10 Marcus Rashford replacing number 7 Cristiano Ronaldo. In the Dragon Kingdom's live broadcast room, Jean Jun was talking about this matter. "Let's see who Luo will give the captain's armband. Faye and Maguire are on the pitch, or Jesse Lingard can be, they're both hard at Manchester United, hee." Dong Fengzhua, who had been quiet for a long time, suddenly said, "I have to give Martial the Poison United logo to bring you." Before his voice could fall, he saw Ronaldo walking towards Marshall. Marshall was also slightly stunned, not knowing what the other party was going to do, until Luo took off the captain's armband and personally put it on his arm, which reacted to see Luo patted his shoulder. The end of the first-class trot left. Marshall looked at his back and looked at Liu Yi on the sidelines, and was giving him a thumbs up. Touching the captain's armband, Marshall held out his hands, applauded, and greeted his teammates. In the second half of the game, Burnley had given up on resistance because it was an unstoppable battle. By the 60 minutes, Marcus Rashford and Jesse Lingard had scored a goal each, and it was Faye who delivered the assists, and his scheduling and long passes in this game were wonderful, just like a top midfielder should do. Liu Yi replaced Faye with Van der Beek, Sancho recycled to midfield, and the formation became 442. In the case of 3 midfielders, Van der Beek assumes responsibility compared to transferring the ball, which is not his characteristic. In the 83rd minute of the game, Lingard and Sancho had a wide range of interactions left and right, and finally Sang Yang's cross was crossed in the middle, and Marshall rushed to the horse and threw himself out. Finally slammed the ball into the goal with his knees, and the whole person lay on the ground, looking at the night sky with his arms outstretched, listening to the balmy men call out his name. Rashford and the others pounced on him in unison, pressed him to the ground, and stacked the arhets, and even De Gea behind him rushed up. The celebration lasted more than 2 minutes before the crowd resumed the game at the urging of the referee. Before the end of the game, in the 88th minute, Marcus Rashford was dribbling the ball in front of him, and after seeing Liu Yi's hint, he sent the ball directly out of the sideline. The fourth official on the sidelines. Episode 195. Anthony Martial walked slowly toward the sidelines, and halfway through, he suddenly thought that he was still wearing Manchester United's armband, carefully took it off and looked at it, and then kissed it, but did not know who to give it to. Harry! Liu Yi shouted Maguire, who quickly ran towards Majel, and the two handed over the captain's armband and then embraced. When he got to the sidelines, Martial finally couldn't help himself, knelt on the ground, and kissed the turf of Old Trafford deeply. Under the HD camera, his tears can be seen, sliding down his cheeks to the grass, and then quickly disappearing, forever merging into Old Trafford. All the fans stood up, shouted Martial's name in unison, and then burst into warm applause. Liu Yi and Greenwood on the sidelines, as well as other coaching staff members and substitutes, all came to the sidelines, applauding while waiting for Anthony Martial. Anyway, the game is over, the referee does not know, he plans to blow the whistle of the end of the game immediately after the end of the substitution. Anthony Martial got up from the ground, hugged Greenwood, and patted his little brother's back hard. Come on. Liu Yi stood on the sidelines and hugged Martial together. Sorry, boss, I'm a deserter. As he spoke, he could see Martial constantly shedding tears, and the corners of his mouth twitching. No, Anthony, in the hearts of all Manchester United, you will always be a good player, but you are going to pursue your own life. You can take this step bravely, you are also a brave person. Liu Yi comforted his disciples, and before Greenwood could run to his position in the field, the referee blew the whistle at the end of the game and could only run back with a blank face. Everyone hugged Anthony Martial, and then Liu Yi took everyone around the field together to thank the fans for their support. A little fan in the front row, a little pink girl, gave a Manchester United scarf to Ma Xiaoyu. Anthony Martial hung around his neck with a smile on his face. In the live broadcast room of the Dragon Kingdom, Jean Jun and the three of them are still analyzing, by the way, what happened on the field. Jean Jun, what Manchester United is like, whether it is the demon that Pogba is harsh on the players, or the deep affection for Martial now, I believe the players know it. This can be seen at a glance. Manchester United, this club, in the whole football world is also an outlier. They pursue a kind of long-term affection, whether it is the generation that got back on their feet after the Munich air disaster, or the persistence of the old lord. Orangewood naturally wants to express his opinion. After all, he used to be a Manchester United player. Pogba's thing, everyone understands what is going on, but Manchester United cannot be denigrated in this regard. Before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can get such a long time, the reason is very simple. Manchester United all think that he is his own person. Even if the performance is not good, he can get enough opportunities. After thanking the fans, Anthony Martial was elected as the best player in the game with 2 goals and 3 assists, and in an interview, he officially announced the fact that he was about to transfer. Yes, I will be leaving Manchester United, but I will always be a Manchester United fan, and this is a club I love dearly. Can you reveal your next home? It was Newcastle United. They touched me with their sincerity and love for me, and I am willing to work hard for Newcastle and bring them to a successful relegation this season. So you gave up on the pursuit of a championship? Of course not. Newcastle can also quickly build a strong and competitive team in recent years, just like Chelsea and Manchester City did. Is there anything to say to the United fans? Like I said before, I will always love Manchester United, and as a Manchester United fan, I love my teammates and thank them for helping me. Finally, I want to thank my coach, June 1st. Dragon pronunciation is really difficult. Martial smiled, and then continued, he saved me, let me find the direction and courage to struggle again. I must not approve of any slander against him, he is a good man, may God bless him forever. When Liu Yi was interviewed, he also sent blessings to Martial as well. Anthony is a good player, everyone can see his energy, congratulations to Newcastle United, they have found the treasure. Best wishes to Anthony, all the best, and hopefully he will play a little worse when he faces us. Okay, I'm going back to be with my players. After the interview, Liu Yi returned to the locker room. The team members and staff are saying goodbye to Martial one by one, thanking him for carefully taking off the locker room cabinet and putting it in a bag for the club's gong and sacrifice Martial over the past few years. Although it was already more than 11 o'clock in the evening, Liu Yi still agreed that everyone would go to dinner together and drink a little wine was no big deal. Even Luo also drank. Liu Yi drank a lot, and then sang a Dragon Country song Camel Bell. It is also very appropriate to use it in this kind of place. Needless to say, Martial was sent back by Rashford and Sancho in the end, and as for Liu Yi himself, he was also carried back by Luo and Sancho. The loss of the next day is a holiday, otherwise it is definitely all late. When he woke up at noon the next day, Liu Yi felt that his head was like a blast, and he still drank less foreign wine, and he looked at his body and did not know who helped him change his pajamas. Looking at the head of the bed, who was good again, still warm, looked like it had fallen not long ago. After taking a sip of the drink, I finally felt a little more comfortable, and I staggered up and prepared to go to the toilet. On the internet, large and small social media, all the pigs are broadcasting the news of Martial's transfer. Hashtag and become the first booty of the winter window tycoon. Hashtag Martial earned £310,000 in Newcastle, more than Pogba's salary in Paris. Hashtag Manchester United are a good club and have deliberately reduced some transfer fees for Anthony Martial's salary. Hashtag Manchester United. Hashtag Manchester United's social media account and official website together posted news about Anthony Martial transfer. Manchester United player Anthony Martial has officially transferred to Newcastle. We thank and miss his past at Manchester United. Bring happiness to Manchester United fans. Wish him all the best in the future. Manchester United is your home forever. Newcastle United's social media account and official website also released news about Anthony Martial in the same time. Today Newcastle United ushered in the first player introduced this year, Anthony Martial from Manchester United. He is an incomparably wonderful player. We welcome him to St. James's Stadium. I hope he can have fun here and bring happiness to Newcastle fans. Pogba, in France, was preparing to report to Paris Saint-Germain when he saw the news that Martial was paying more than his own, and suddenly felt his mentality collapse. How can you, a Martial Hode, earn more than I do? Episode 196. Liu Yi also posted a parting speech to Martial on his social media. It is a great honor to work with you. I wish you all good luck in the future, keep a good mood, and continue to move forward. Cristiano Ronaldo, good brother forever, I wish you a happy stay in Newcastle. Jesse Lingard, after all these years with you, I will always bless you, my good brother. Michael Carrick, Anthony, you are a genius, you have to always believe in yourself, I wish you all the best in the future. Anthony Martial naturally responded, thanking everyone one by one and expressing his feelings for Manchester United. Of course, the next time I meet Manchester United, I won't be merciful to your men. A happy and harmonious scene, so that the departed Pogba, more different. The club did not have any other words except for the announcement of a rule, and Liu Yi, as the head coach, hated him even more. None of the teammates said goodbye to him publicly, not even a private text message. Pogba, who was extremely unhappy in his own right, almost got the news of Martial's transfer fee and salary, and was almost directly blown up. You must play well and help Paris reach the quarter-finals, and then UEFA will definitely draw Paris and Manchester United, and the time will come to avenge yourself. There's nothing better than beating Manchester United in person and getting revenge. Pogba, who was going to rest for a few days and then go to Paris to report, gave up the rest and went directly to the training ground in Paris, and began to work hard to integrate into the team. I have to say that Pogba, who played seriously, was still very strong and soon conquered Paris. As the winter window began, Roma's offer for Darrow was placed on the desk of Manchester United e Santacuco. On and looked at the stop price of €8 million. Santacuco threw the offer directly into the trash, although Dalot could not get enough playing time when Manchester United could not play the main force and the competition was not fierce. But that's not a reason why you can take €8 million, it's simply insulting. The most important thing is that Manchester United brought in Dalot, which cost £19 million, and the loss-making business will not be done now, even if it is stuck in its own pot. Before Dalot wanted to leave the team because he could not get enough playing time, but now that Liu Yi has arrived, he often rotates Wan-Bissaka to play, and naturally wants to stay and play well at Manchester United. The most important thing is that Roma cannot give it to match United's salary. Maybe I'll talk to the boss myself. Dalot is still young, but 23 years old, and naturally has some expectations for his future. He is willing to stay at Manchester United and Wan-Bissaka to compete for the opportunity to play. However, before Dalot found Liu Yi, there was another person who found Liu Yi in advance, that is, Bailey, who applied for a transfer, and finally withdrew the transfer application. specifically looking for Liu Yi to explain the situation, boss, at that time, because the situation was uncertain. And I also did not get the opportunity to play in Manchester United for a long time, so I did not think clearly for a while and made such an impulsive thing. So you're willing to play for Manchester United in your heart? Liu Yi looked up at Bailey. When he first brought him in, he was placed high hopes, and there is no doubt that until now, he has not lived up to the expectations of Manchester United for him. Boss, I can swear, I'm going to go because I can't play at Manchester United. When I was a manager before, unless the player was injured, there was very little rotation, and we players didn't have half a chance. For his ex, Bailey maintained enough respect in his words that even such complaints were still audible. Bailey as a player thinks so, even if Liu Yi as a fan at the time could not figure it out. Obviously the main force, because of excessive fatigue, so the state is worse than one, is not willing to let them rest, and then give the rotation of players some opportunities. If the manager could have made the proper rotation at that time, it is not good to say that he is still in the position of Manchester United manager, and Manchester United is still half dead. Thinking of this, Liu Yi suddenly understood Bailey a little, and used those who had had unpleasant requests before. Well, since you decided to stay, then concentrate on playing, don't think about what you don't have. The FA Cup is coming soon, we have enough games to arrange for you to play. Please rest assured boss, I will not betray your trust. Well, when I usually train, I learn from Veronet to see how he reads the game, and I can also watch Ramos's videos more, and I can learn more to improve. Bailey smiled with a sneaky mood, and had gained the trust of the head coach. Although he knew that the coach would not embarrass himself, he was surprised that things were going so smoothly. After dealing with Bailey's matter, Liu Yi directly dialed Santacuco's phone and asked about Darrow. What was the Rome offer? As soon as he heard that he was asking about this matter, Santacuco was angry, and even his tone was a little more angry. Rome's offer is only 8 million euros, I just threw it in the trash. 8 million euros, what are these people thinking, Ed? Unless the offer can reach 40 million pounds, otherwise the Dalit will stay and use it. Rest assured, I won't sell our players cheaply. After hanging up the phone, Liu Yi couldn't help but sigh and looked at the list of players in front of him. There were many people, but many of them were not used. Mata basically lost the opportunity to play, and Matic could play a game a week if he saved it. When Jones last played, maybe even Jones himself forgot, let alone Liu Yi, too long without a game. Not only the current low ability is scary, the potential has also been reduced by at least 30 points. Cavani is in good shape, but only half a year on contract, want to return to his South American hometown after the end of the season. Spend the last part of his career. However, recently there are rumors that Cavani wants to go to Barca, and Barca also needs a center forward because of Agüero's retirement, which seems to have a nose and an eye. Liu Yi still has a good feeling for this diligent veteran, and Cavani has not won the Champions League once in his career, and Manchester United this season is his last chance. Out of respect for the veteran, Liu Yi personally called Cavani. Hey, old Ka, there is something I want to ask you? Boss, you just say. Cavani has also been conquered by Liu Yi, and loyalty in the system has reached 16, a pretty good statistic. I heard you want to go to Barca? If that's true, I hope we can have a good chat and Manchester United will never be an obstacle for you. After quietly listening to Liu Yi's speech, Cavani suddenly laughed. Boss, I haven't won the Champions League in my career, we have a good chance this season, and I don't play in the Champions League, go to Barca to play in the Europa League? Episode 197. For Barcelona, Liu Yi naturally wants to touch it, but unfortunately Barca himself is not angry, and directly runs to play in the Europa League, afraid that he will not be able to meet for a while and a half. Many old fans with memories will remember the Stamford Bridge tragedy, and Barca at that time also stepped on Manchester United to win the Champions League. Without that all-time game, I'm afraid it would be Chelsea and Manchester United who are vying for the title. The previous year's Champions League title was between Manchester United and Chelsea, and UEFA naturally would not let that happen. At that time, the Premier League was getting stronger and stronger, and UEFA chose La Liga in order to support a league to suppress the Premier League, but the knee of Real Madrid in La Liga was too hard to kneel. There happens to be such a team that has a great desire to suppress Real Madrid and compete with Real Madrid, and the two sides are in a hit. After that, Manchester United lost to Barca in 2 finals, and since then Manchester United have not reached the Champions League final again, and it seems that they have lost a breath and can no longer hold up. Of course, Barca also deteriorated after the fall of Platini, and finally to this day, running to play in the Europa League. Sadly, Manchester United played in the Europa League for a few years before Barca, and 50 steps did not laugh at people 90 steps. Knowing that Cavani did not have the heart to transfer, Liu Yi was also relieved, and the right guard he was looking for two new people, the ordinary Valentino Livramento of Nanan, and Tarek Lantep of Brighton. Both of them were born in Chelsea's youth training, and the most important thing is that Chelsea actually set up a buyback clause, and Santacuco directly gave up talking about fat judgment. Liu Yi also had no intention of spending too much money on them. Moreover, for Liu Yi, in the position of right back, one of the top in the world, Achraf Hakimi in Paris is his goal. Unfortunately, this young man only transferred to Paris in the summer, and with an annual salary of £6.8 million, he is afraid that he will not leave for a while and a half, and he must prove the superiority of Manchester United. Take the front of the dry flip Paris. Liu Yi did not plan to stir up Barca and was wandering around in the office, but he did not expect Barca to pick it up. Barca's official account directly at Cavani, "Come to Barcelona, enjoy the sun and sand of Spain, lead the Barca lads to glory again." This does not take Manchester United in the eyes at all, and openly shouting at other people's players is simply a taboo in football. This is unbearable. Liu Yi did not use his account to scare back, but a phone call to the blonde beauty in charge of operating the account, Emilia Sweet. "Hey, dear Liu, do you have any orders?" The blonde beauty has been a Manchester United fan since she was a child, and after graduating from the University of Manchester, she joined Manchester United directly to work in social media. "Amy, did you see Barca's Twitter?" "Not yet, what happened?" Amelia was a little confused about what Barca's tweets had to do with Manchester United. Liu Yi said simply, and then taught Amelia how to fight back. A few minutes later, United's official social media account also released a new message openly calling Barca, "Stay with Manchester United and the lads to win the championship. Enjoy the Manchester United dressing room and the love of the whole team." As a staunch Manchester United activist, Emilia didn't seem to be too addicted after posting, and then publicly at Barcelona Bad Party Club. "I hope to have the opportunity to meet in the Champions League next season. This season is no chance, unfortunately." In the face of Manchester United's counterattack, Barca felt very depressed, but this season itself pulled the crotch, and Messi almost collapsed directly after leaving. Thanks to old ministers like Harvey, who faithfully and boldly came back to support, this could continue. There is no confidence in recruiting soldiers, only to talk about feelings and past glory, and show the future by the way. Manchester United fans are naturally dissatisfied with the previous confrontation with Barca, and now when they are strong, the other side has shrunk, but it is a pity. Not giving us a chance for revenge. Cavani also publicly expressed his views on social media accounts. "I have a very happy time in Manchester. I like people and everything here. I am full of love for Manchester United, full of respect for the boss. We are going to win all the titles this season together. Now I am Manchester United. I hope some clubs don't be fooled." Such frank public remarks made Barca's fishing wheel offensive end before it even began. Half an hour later, Barcelona's official account suddenly deleted the remarks just made, and then sent a new message: "Barcelona account was stolen. We are full of respect for Manchester United and Cavani. The previous remarks are not the attitude of the club." I have to say that this trick is still okay to throw the pot, at least on the face can be passed. As for the true and false, everyone knows that it is false. Hackers have problems. Hack your account is to publish such a message, do something else bad? Cavani may have other ideas, but now that United are clearly in full swing and the team is incredibly strong, they can add a few trophies to their honor room. Fools will leave Manchester United for Barca at this time. After processing, Liu Yi is not taking care of this matter, but hopes that UEFA can see that next year will be directly arranged for Barca and Manchester United. But now Barca are 8th in La Liga, and whether they can play in the Champions League next season are two different things. As for the Europa League, the king of the Europa League, Sevilla, has arrived, and Liu Yi is not optimistic about Barca, but if UEFA wants to do things, it will not be good. I hope everyone can have a fair playing environment, no black whistle or anything like that. United's next opponent was Wolves, and in the first half, they won 1-0 thanks to De Gea and Greenwood's kills. At that time, the game was very difficult, and now it is naturally not going to be, at home to Wolves, how to have a score to make the fans happy. And it is also the first game of the new year. The Dragon Country pays attention to an auspicious and wants to give itself a good start. The mobile phone rang suddenly, looked at Zhao Lingyue's call, calculate the time Dragon Kingdom should be 9 o'clock in the morning. Old Zhao, this is just going to work. What happened? Liu Yi is not looking forward to good things or anything, don't just put out any moths. Quickly answered the phone, old Zhao, early in the morning, you won't have any bad news, right? Boss, you don't trust me, of course, early in the morning to announce the good news, not just a good news, but a good thing for double happiness. Zhao Lingyue with a hearty laugh, let Lu Shi feel at ease. Episode 198. Boss, let's talk about big happy events or small happy events. Zhao Ling was in a good mood and bought Liu Yi a pass. Little happy event. His own employees are interested, and Liu Yi also cooperates with each other, so that Zhao Lingyue feels a sense of spiritual satisfaction, thereby enhancing the motivation to work. Weibo has just started to offer 25 million renminbi, requiring you to open an exclusive account in Weibo, and you can't go to other media, of course, within the Dragon Kingdom. And then what? The final offer is 25 million renminbi, non-exclusive account. Social media itself is to be used, this money is equivalent to buy Lai, Liu Yi naturally will not oppose, this is indeed a good thing. Boss, this is only half a good thing, because the daily headlines also open 25 million renminbi, asking you to open a non-exclusive account on their platform and publish some daily content. Lying in the groove, this did nothing, it was directly 50 million into the account. Liu Yi once again felt that the real influential celebrities, it is too easy to make money. The most important thing is that the income of 50 million is a small happy event, so what is a big happy event? Of course, the income of these 50 million yuan, after the tax is about 45 million. Liu Yi registered the company in Longcheng, enjoyed some policy tax relief. Longcheng and the entire Jinju economy downturn, urgently need all aspects of foreign funds, to the economic activity of their own. Old Zhao, this is all a small happy event, so can the big happy event be a few hundred million? The boss pattern is small, this is not a matter of hundreds of millions. Zhao Lingyue said the accent of a certain embarrassing internet celebrity, leaving Liu Yi a little speechless. The relevant local personnel of Longcheng, call me and say that they want to be 1 million a year and hire you as the image spokesperson of Longcheng. Liu Yi immediately thought about which task he had rewarded before, and the expansion of his influence was originally waiting here. But there are still some visions. My image is also worthy of endorsement for Dragon City. As for the endorsement fee, it is symbolic to charge $1. Or the boss has a pattern, then I promised them so. There is another thing, didn't you just get 50 million? Strive to model the 5 major leagues and the Champions League in Jinju cities, hold a high school student competition, use this money as a bonus, and it is best to cooperate with local political and commercial enterprises. Boss, I'm afraid I'm looking for a professional to study it. That's for sure, but don't look for anyone who flies in dogs. If anyone dares to beat my money attention, then I will send him directly to prison. Liu Yi's tone suddenly became firm and full of murderous spirit, making people want him to resolutely prosecute the people of the Dragon Country Football Committee. Zhao Lingyue also knew that this matter absolutely could not be ambiguous, and immediately issued a military order. Boss, you can rest assured, I have been a lawyer for decades and know what to do. Because of the system, Zhao Lingyue's loyalty to Liu Yi naturally did not need to be doubted. The matter was so decided, Zhao Lingyue first began to make a plan, but the top priority was to sign the contract between Weibo and the daily headlines. Then the things on the side of the Dragon City spokesperson naturally have to sign a contract to avoid any accidents in the future. After Liu Yi hung up the phone here, considering that the people in China had little experience in this matter, the most important thing was that he did not trust those people, and many of them were still in his prosecution list. He immediately called Mendez. Mendez has recently received many business cooperation invitations, and wants to hire Liu Yi as a spokesperson, including many luxury goods, watches and the like, and what perfumes and the like. Busy with a collapsed lake, there was some surprise when I suddenly received a call from Liu Yi. After all, if the two men were fine, what was the meaning of the call? Hey, Liu, what's the matter? Jorge is like this. Liu Yi told Jorge in detail about his thoughts and the difficulties he was facing. As an expert in the field of football, Mendez quickly gave Liu Yi the answer he wanted, although this answer made Liu Yi sound a little uncomfortable. Dragon Country's neighboring island country is doing very well in the Campus Football League. If you need to consult some relevant experts, there should be a lot of gains. As a Longguo person, Liu Yi instinctively felt a little uncomfortable, but he had to admit that these small island people who lived a good life were doing well. In the final of the Island High School League, the whole field can be attended by more than 50,000 spectators. which is a level that many Dragon Super Leagues cannot reach, and the gap can be imagined. Step by step, there is no shame in learning from advanced countries, that's how we came along. After troubled Mendes to help find a few people, Liu Yi fell into contemplation, and sure Yi was skilled in controlling Yi, and from the lowest point of the present, he did not need to worry about it. Manchester is already evening, Liu Yi after dinner, at home with Yao Yaodong mother and son chatting. Because it was the New Year's Day holiday, Yao Yaodong also took a holiday. Yaodong, how have you been training lately? At first it was a bit uncomfortable, but now it's completely fine. The coach said I will only stay in the U16 for 3 months, and then I will go to the U18 to play, so I must adapt to the scientific training method as soon as possible. Yes, that's what I put for you, and when next season starts, I might be able to give you a chance to play in the first team. Really? Yao Yaodong was immediately surprised, jumped up directly from the sofa, and then was slapped by Lin Shuyue, and then sat back down. Of course it's true, you are what I want to build, our Dragon Country football idol, don't drop the chain for me. Snapping, Yao Yaodong directly lay on Liu Yi's lap, raised his head, and made a touched look. Brother Liu Yi, you are so good to me, and we are all so handsome. If I could not still remember my father, I would have misunderstood that you are my father. Liu Yi rolled his eyes and picked up the boy from his leg, and Lin Shuyue over there picked it up from the sofa, cleaned the brush, and directly gave his son's ass up and down. Mom, don't fight, am I not exaggerating? What a simple rhetorical device. Zhao Lingyue called Liu Yi and said that it was ready over there, and then Liu Yi opened the computer, registered his account in the daily headlines, and passed real name authentication. Weibo also released the news of cooperation. The two sides officially held hands successfully, and even announced the amount of cooperation. Daily headlines are no exception. Directly to Liu Yi a big screen recommendation, all click on the app people. You can see Liu Yi's handsome face. The famous football coach Liu Yi has officially opened a daily headline account, and fans and friends are welcome to pay attention. Liu Yi also sent the first headline message. It is a pleasure to meet with the friends of the headlines. I will share some competitions and daily news here in the future. Welcome to pay attention. Immediately after Jinzhou and Longcheng official Bo Chi published a news. Liu Yi, a famous football coach in our city/province, has become the image spokesperson of Longcheng at an annual cost of 1 yuan. Congratulations to him. Liu Yi also forwarded this blog. It is an honor. I hope to do something for Dragon City and Dragon Country football, and welcome everyone to play in Dragon City and Jinzhou. Good mountains, good water, good place, good boys, good girls. Episode 199. Immediately after that, Liu Yi's refusal of the $1 million endorsement fee of Longcheng was also officially announced, and he was named the high-quality idol of Longhua. Of course, even without this title, in the hearts of Liu Yi's fans, Liu Yi is also a high-quality idol. After thinking about it, Liu Yi also took advantage of the current heat to release that he would cooperate with the local government, enterprises and private governments in Jinzhou to promote the further promotion of football and implement the small-scale pilot development of the high school football league. The 50 million yuan earned from Weibo and the daily headlines, and the remaining funds after paying taxes, will all be invested in this matter. Fans are naturally cheered and commented below, Liu guidance forever dripping God. What was the dog that said that director Liu only cared about himself and did not care about the dead and alive of Longhua football? Come out and take 2 steps. Liu directs this kind of sincere way to do things, further expand the foundation of folk football, let the whole people accept football, is the most important thing in Longhua football now. Only when the people recognize the sport of football, people will send their children to play football, of course, provided that the youth training is not in a scandal. In addition to the praise of Liu Yi, fans are also making suggestions in the comment area, including some very professional people. Liu Yi called Zhao Lingyue, I see some very professional fans in the comment area, you can pay a sum of money, create a program, ask them to talk about Longhua football, and the future development of the view, you can cooperate with Jinzhou Satellite TV, if possible. Zhao Lingyue smiled when he heard this. The boss is assured, in this short period of time, I have received a lot of calls from relevant units in Jinzhou, all to see if there is a possibility of cooperation, among which there is Jinzhou Satellite TV. Have you found a reliable video site, such as a beep station? After all, most of them are young people. Rest assured, with the popularity and prestige of the boss, Chen Rui will definitely accept the cooperation, and will vigorously promote it. Zhao Lingyue went through a series of recent events, and he knew more about Liu Yi's prestige than Liu Yi himself, and it was too easy to follow such a boss. Taking advantage of this hot spot, Boziting also released a promotional film made by Liu Yi and Dababy, and the network and television stations were launched simultaneously, which was breathtaking. For the comments of Dababy, it makes people realize how excellent Liu Yi's acting skills are. Director Liu is really handsome, even the most handsome little fresh meat is a lot worse than him. You mentioned the small fresh meat here in Liu Guide's case that it was beaten, and football is not a sports of the canon. Other than that, Liu directs this acting skill to drive Dababy. This video is definitely the best performance of Dababy's acting skills in recent years. To be honest, if it wasn't for the Boziting commercial, I think it was a couple's selfie daily video. It's so sweet, no, I can't stand it. I'm going to buy my boyfriend a down jacket of the same style. Is there still a boyfriend upstairs, or would you mind a new one? I have to say that under the stimulation of this wave of heat in Boziting, Liu Yi's reputation has been raised to a higher level, and the number of fans of the bow has climbed to 40 million, which is a solid number of fans, and a dime of pigs has not been spent. Liu Yi also received a title, Wen Wu Shuang Quan Lu Guidance, 1 and Stylistic, 2 Blossoms. Zhao Lingyue also took advantage of this shareholder wind and began to work on Liu Yi's arrangement. First of all, to expand the company, he could do several things alone, and he could not exhaust him. Things have to be done one by one, and Liu Yi's domestic company began to recruit a large number of people. The name of Dragon Wing football culture has also begun to spread on the internet, mainly because the salary treatment is too good and looks a bit like a scam company, which is unbelievable. A soccer company, with a salary equivalent to the internet factory, promises 8 hours of work, and overtime is not only overtime pay, but can be deducted the next day, before the overtime time. On the first day, in order to complete the work, you work overtime for 3 hours, then the next day you finish the work at hand. You can go home for 5 hours, not counting absenteeism. The only thing that's a little harsh is that you have a passion and understanding of football, but football companies don't ask for this. That's a strange thing. Until Liu Yi personally forwarded the recruitment advertisement, everyone guessed that it was true. But Liu Yi himself has broken away from these things and started to prepare for the match against Wolves, while the media began to take stock of the past year. Liu Yi and Manchester United are the focus of many people's work, and countless people have begun to study Manchester United in the past year from a wide range of materials. In fact, United themselves are working on this to show the work of the club over the past year. Hey, guys, the past year is over, we're going to start a New Year's game, and there's still half of it out of the season. Don't indulge in the past. Whoever drops the chain for me in a game against Wolves, Liu Yi said to the players in the locker room. You don't have to say that there are some players who are a bit of a bit, after all, in the last 14 games, they have achieved 14 wins, and the least number of goals in the game is 5-0 goals. It is simply written in the novel, and it will be scolded for unreasonable games and kicked out by Manchester United. Fortunately, Liu Yi knocked them in time, although Liu Yi was a very good friend in private, but in the locker room and the arena, he was the absolute controller, and no one present dared to blow up the thorn with him, of course. Turn the boss, please rest assured, we will do our best to deal with every game. The captain of the team, Cristiano Ronaldo, made his attitude clear on behalf of the whole team. Don't worry about the news these 2 days, when the game is over, we have 4 games in January. I hope you can find the right way to pass the time. The crowd agreed in unison again, the momentum was like a rainbow, and the military heart was available. Last year, because I joined the football war too late, we Manchester United did not have much to gain, but this year has begun. We have to launch an impact on everything, from collective to individual honor. Which dust do you want? The players hesitated, then looked at each other, each with the answer in their hearts. Boss, we have to put the championship and the collective interest first. Fred took the lead in giving his testimonials. Yes, boss, we have to go all out to pursue all the champions. Beefy also swears by. Si Luo rubbed his feet up. Individual performance is based on the collective. If the collective performance is not good, the individual has no chance of performance. Liu Yi looked at these people and secretly looked up at the sky and sighed. Sure enough, there was no one from the Dragon Kingdom, not even a terrier. Paced the lake. Saying that, Liu Yi held out a hand, grabbed it hard, and made a claw-gripping action. Collective honor and individual honor, we all want. Episode 200. Everyone looked at Si Luo. Originally everyone had no idea about the best in the world last year. Anyway, there was no Luo's share. But since Liu Yi entered Manchester United, see Ronaldo's anti-heavenly performance, let people begin to cry out for him. this is not the best in the world. What is the best in the world? Especially in Paris, Messi has been showing unsatisfactory water, which is even more unconvincing. Even in order to pursue Messi, Paris and France, and some Spanish media, come up with a killing data, let people call the insider. But on this list, in fact, the strongest ranking should be FIFA, but unfortunately, the more restrictive words in front, naturally it has nothing to do with FIFA. There are also negative effects, so that some people do not like Messi, or because Barca hate the house and the fans of Wuxi, began to use this wave of Messi. What a title like chicken killer that makes people cry and laugh. To evaluate a great player, the top 10 players in football history, is naturally not objective and polite. Even if Liu Yi has never liked Barca, he is still very recognized for Messi's skills. He believes Messi will find his way of playing in Paris and restore his former glory, if he can't find it. That had nothing to do with him. A new year has begun, a new competition has begun, and if Ronaldo can continue the performance of the previous year this year, then there is a full chance. As a man who was competitive enough to be a few points stronger, disciplined and hardworking enough to be a little perverted that people didn't dare to go to his house for dinner, Luo's eyes burned with flames. Yeah, we want it all. We Dragon Kingdom have a saying that the new year is a good start, so don't make me angry, or you'll see a terrible coach who is bigger than the old lord's hairdryer. Rest assured, boss, we will use a big win to make you feel good. Lin Huang lingered, opened his mouth, and the golden mouth and jade words were naturally unambiguous. The other players responded. Boss, do we need to record a New Year's greeting for Dragon Country fans? As the team's vice-captain, Maddox suddenly came up with an idea. There is really no need, our country is celebrating the Spring Festival, and during the Spring Festival, please say 2 dragon words to express some blessings to the fans. Rest assured, boss, I feel that my recent dragon language level has improved by leaps and bounds. In addition to Fred having nothing to do, in addition to learning dragon language in the online class, Luo also hired a dragon language teacher for himself, ready to learn. He has a clear feeling that even after he retires, he will have more cooperation with boss, not to mention that he likes Dragon Country fans very much. In 2019, Ronaldo followed Juve to play in the Dragon Country, and then played all the games in the Dragon Country, and then did not go on the South Baseball for a minute, and the angry South Baseball fans shouted Messi's name all over the field. As for Messi, the Southern Baseball fans did not have much affection for Messi, but before that, it was another warm-up game. The last 10 minutes of the first half was replaced, and the midfield was replaced. Southern Baseball fans are naturally upset, but there is nothing they can do. In the Manchester United dressing room, Liu Yi stopped his wild thoughts, signaled that he was finished, and then the team representatives, speaking on behalf of the players. Basically, it's also hard work, fighting for all the championships, and giving full play to the words of every game. 2 hours of thought work was completed, energizing everyone's minds and making sure everyone was moving in the same direction, and the morning passed. In the afternoon, some technical and tactical training was conducted, all of which were mainly based on group cooperation, and there would be no training for major actions to avoid injuries. When Liu Yi returned home in the evening, he received a list from Mendes, and judging from the names above, most of them were from the Islanders. Liu, this is the person you need, whether you invite them to do training or directly ask them to work, can help you realize your dreams as soon as possible. Good Jorge, thank you for your help for me. Liu, you are too polite, you are my boss, I want to work hard to serve you to avoid being snatched away by others. After talking with Mendes, Liu Yi directly sent the list to Zhao Lingyue, asking him to talk to these people in the name of a domestic company to see what the situation was. The best thing is to let these people work while cultivating talents for the country. The lack of players in the country is not only the staff, from the staff to the coach, and even the managers, they are very amateurish, and sometimes they often make jokes. The Dragon Country Football Committee, which is now sued by Liu Yi, is a lot of joke material, whether it is a talk show, or a crosstalk sketch or the like, there are a lot of Dragon Country football jokes. When he was dealing with things, Lin Xiuyue made tea for him and sat quietly playing with his mobile phone on the side. When her son is away, she is by herself, cleaning up the house every day, and then going to the gym to exercise, or lying down to play on her mobile phone, watch TV, and so on. Sister Lin, if you don't go out alone, will you get bored? No, it won't. Lin Xiuyue didn't expect Liu Yi, suddenly talking to himself, not knowing why, suddenly made a big red face. Well, I'll find you an English teacher, teach you English while having a companion with you, and then you go shopping for something, and you don't have to compare. No, you can let me live here, I'm already satisfied, and give me a salary. Lin Shuyue quickly refused, she wanted to be satisfied. That's it, although this house is good, but a person stays at home for a long time, it is easy to be damaged, and it is out of touch with the outside world. Opening her mouth, Lin Shuyue finally didn't say anything right, just muttered in her heart, it's too domineering. Yes, Coach Liu is now a full-blown overbearing president, rich and beautiful. After speaking, Liu Yi called Kevin directly, asking him to introduce a female classmate studying in Manchester. The level of English communication should be great, giving people a teacher to use Kevin here for a few years. The natural familiarity with such a thing, a mouthful of promises, tomorrow will be known. Originally in Manchester, there are Manchester United fans, Manchester City fans, and some other fans, but since last year, they have all been Manchester United fans. Now Liu Yi wants to hire someone, which is naturally an easy thing. After making the call, Liu Yi looked at Lin Shuyue again. Well, we students from Longhua, you don't have any pressure, anyway, try to learn a little, daily communication is enough. Lin Shuyue lowered her head and whispered a promise. In the distant city of Longhua, a chubby middle-aged man received a private message from Longyi Football Culture Company, Ltd. Hello, I'm a staff member of Liu Yi's Liu Guidance Company. I want to make a football show, I want to invite you to participate, can I give you a contact information?